Emo rejoiced and soon found that this way of devouring the divine damnation didn't waste anything nor injure him. Emo rejoiced and soon found that this way of devouring the divine damnation didn't waste anything nor injure him. The weakened lightning arcs were refined by Emo, and he felt his meridians continuously strengthen, expand, and purify. When he completely refined the 36 bolts, Emo felt his meridians were cracking as though realigning. His power also grew rapidly. Powerful cultivation essence and spirit sense filled his senses. Emo knew that after the second wave of divine damnation, he had reached disaster transformation state power. The third wave rained down now, and it was also 36 bolts as well. Now, Emo didn't even use lightning sword. He just took the lightning arcs with his body. The lightning arcs crackled on Emo's body, spewing lightning sparks everywhere. However, Emo wasn't scared at all. The spirit beasts watching this were utterly astonished. They had never seen such an absurd divine damnation. This wasn't divine damnation. This was eating lightning arcs. After the third wave, Emo had some wounds. His skin was charred, but Emo felt this was much more beneficial to him than the lightning arcs he blocked with lightning sword. As the fourth wave ended, Emo still didn't use his lightning sword despite the lightning arcs getting stronger and stronger. Thick and terrifying lightning arcs rained down non-stop. Emo's flesh and bones were crippled, but they were repaired again and broken again. His power also kept rising. When the 172nd lightning arc rained on him and was devoured, the divine damnation clouds disappeared. Emo breathed with satisfaction. He was disaster transformation state level 2 now. This divine damnation was much more comfortable than his body condensation state divine damnation. A purple spirit cloud floated above Emo, and Emo felt spirit chi that was more curative than immortal crystals. Moments later, his injuries disappeared. But this spirit chi cloud didn't dissipate. It started to wash his meridians. Emo wasn't going to waste this opportunity. He used 3 birth chant at full speed and reached disaster transformation state level 3 in a short while. Emo used a few clear water spells and changed a set of clothes. He suddenly laughed. Those spirit beasts saw Emo laugh hysterically and all retreated. Suddenly, the other level 10 spirit beast howled and charged at Emo. The space the spirit beast went past condensed. Emo knew it was the spirit beast's domain. If he was in cauldron-filling state, Emo would turn away immediately, but now Emo threw out a few lightning swords without hesitation. The lightning arcs Emo used now were as thick as grown men's arms. It was on par with his divine damnation. These few lightning arcs crashed through the spirit beast's domain like tofu. The space returned to as it was before. The spirit beast was surprised to see that Emo wasn't affected by his domain at all and instead broke it. Then, he immediately saw Emo's lightning arcs. Rumble the level 10 blue wind wolf spat out tens of wind blades. These wind blades swept the nearby space. However, Emo's lightning arcs seemed to know the weak points of the wind blades and easily crippled them. The rest of the lightning arcs all landed on the blue wind wolf. The wolf howled and rolled around tens of times. When it got up again, it was charred and covered in wounds. It looked at Emo in shock and terror. It probably never expected there would be a disaster transformation state cultivator this strong. He had just reached disaster transformation state and beat a level 10 spirit beast without any trouble. Emo scanned the terrified level 7 and level 8 spirit beasts and suddenly raised his hand. Tens of thin lightning arcs spread out. They charred all these spirit beasts, without a single exception. Even though a few level 9 spirit beasts tried to dodge them, the space around them had already bound them. The spirit beasts planning to divide Emo up after his divine damnation all rolled around on the ground. Seeing this, Emo roared, "This is a warning. Next time if you appear and surround me, I will kill you all. Piss off." Hearing this, the spirit beasts got up and ran with their tail between their tails. Even the most heavily injured level 10 spirit beast ran and didn't dare to look back at Emo seeing them run off. Emo felt satisfied but also regretful. They were all materials and beast cores in his eyes. But his instinct told him that he couldn't slaughter spirit beasts here. There were so many high-level spirit herbs and spirit beasts here. There must be more powerful leaders here. Seeing this mess, Emo knew it wasn't good to stay here, so he flashed away and disappeared. Less than 7 minutes later, a level 10 peak ice leopard appeared, but there was a square-faced blue-haired man sitting on it. He didn't get off and just looked around and saw 2 level 8 spirit beast bodies and frowned before leaving. When Emo got back to Su Jingwen, she was already very worried. Seeing Emo, she got up in surprise and joy and asked, "You've become a disaster transformation state cultivator?" Emo nodded. "Yes, I'm a disaster transformation state cultivator now. Should we go now?" Su Jingwen was happier than Emo upon seeing him break through. Emo smiled. "Jingwen, we'll be rich. You know what's inside the mountain range? There are spirit herbs everywhere, but those spirit beasts seem blind. They didn't touch them at all. If we sweep it clean, don't you think we'll be rich?" Hearing this, she was dazed and asked, "But this is the land of the spirit beasts. How can they let us collect spirit herbs?" Emo smiled. "Don't worry, I dominated the spirit beasts with my lightning sword. When I increase my power a little more, then we can get rich. As long as we don't meet a truth realization state beast cultivator or level 11 spirit beast, we'll be fine. Even if we meet a truth realization state beast cultivator, I'm not afraid. We can run away, no problem." Okay. Su Jingwen also rejoiced. She was no longer the girl from Earth anymore. She knew what cultivation resources meant. In order to stay with Emo forever, she also cared a lot about cultivation too. Plus, she felt very excited going crazy with Emo, stealing spirit herbs from spirit beast territory. Seeing Su Jingwen's red face, Emo whispered a few words in her ears. Su Jingwen's face turned even redder. Emo laughed and went into the golden page world again. He had to reach disaster transformation state middle stage before he went back to the mountains. After a long while, Su Jingwen's face recovered. When Emo first concocted a cauldron of disaster will pill, the main spirit herb Chao Ju was given to him by Bian Fengta. They benefited Emo greatly now. Emo didn't expect to reach disaster transformation state in such a short time. After eating a disaster will pill, Emo activated the time formation disc again. He still had a third of an immortal crystal in his hands. Once he used that up, he would leave and take Su Jingwen away from here. The spirit chi of the extreme grade spirit range, mixed with the spirit chi of the immortal crystals, provided an endless power that cleansed Emo's meridians. Meanwhile, the disaster will pill provided more power for this flow. The spirit chi of the extreme grade spirit range, mixed with the spirit chi of the immortal crystals, provided an endless power that cleansed Emo's meridians. Meanwhile, the disaster will pill provided more power for this flow. A huge spirit chi whirlpool swirled above Emo's head that was so dense it was about to liquefy. However, Emo kept drawing the spirit chi away. Disaster transformation state level 3's barrier was overcome with the charge of such powerful spirit chi without pause. 2 months later, Emo broke through to disaster transformation state level 4. 4 months later, Emo reached disaster transformation state level 5. Just when he did, his immortal crystals cracked and turned into nothing. However, Emo continued to eat disaster will pill and sit on the extreme grade spirit range to devour spirit chi. 9 months later, he reached disaster transformation state level 6. Emo sighed and stopped. Just one more level and he would be disaster transformation state tertiary stage. However, he didn't have any more immortal crystals. The difference in using immortal crystals and not using them for cultivation was huge. Before, he could break through a level in 2 months and just use 1 disaster will pill, but later, he ate 3 extra pills. Emo looked outside and saw Su Jingwen was working hard in cultivation and was about to break through to nascent soul state level 7. Emo wanted to go out, but saw Su Jingwen was about to break through and stopped his urge to do so. Nascent soul state level 7 was nascent soul state tertiary stage. It was still very weak, but her power had improved a lot. He looked again at the time formation disc and saw there were still parts of the immortal crystals left. They should be able to last nearly a month. Emo didn't continue cultivation. He wouldn't be able to break through to disaster transformation state tertiary stage in a short time. He took out that painting. Emo felt this painting wasn't ordinary. He couldn't even scan his spirit sense into it. When he took the painting again, Shandi had a problem with it, but he didn't dare to ask for it. Tang Mingrao also wanted it, but she couldn't bring herself to ask. Yimo found there was one level from one corner of the painting. Yimo then took out a thin paper that said Basic 5-Element Magic. Yimo was dazed. 5-Element Magic was the simplest magic. It could be said to be the most basic magic in the cultivation realm. Fireball, water ball, earth mobility. He learned these during Qi gathering state. Why would such simple magic be hidden in a painting? Yimo immediately felt things were wrong. These weren't basic magics. He saw the 5-element mobility later on. It was what the spirit body gave him. It was a heaven-grade cultivation method. So how was it basic magic? Yimo started looking again from the beginning. The extreme nature of metal destroys all. How can a weapon be used to measure its ferocity? The more Yimo looked, the more he was shook. This was no basic 5-element magic. This was extremely high-level 5-element magic. In water and earth element, Yimo didn't see any water ball magic or stone casting magic. There was just magic to move mountains and rivers. Yimo took a cold breath in. Compared to these 5-element magics, the magic he learnt before was child's play. Yimo focused his gaze on the fire element magics. His Mist Lotus Heart Fire was in great competition. It was blue-colored, and he desperately needed a magic that could utilize the Mist Lotus Heart Fire. The essence of fire, the ferocity of Yang. It does not fear autumn and dominates the frost. It does not fear the winter and dominates the snow. Melting metal in all things, expunging the evil in the world. This art is called Heaven Flame 9 Suns. It was the use of fire element magic and flame. Yimo finished looking at it and realized this was a fire cultivation method called Heaven Flame 9 Suns. It was best for the cultivator of this to have a basic rare flame. Heaven Flame was the best. If not, one could use their own cultivation fire. At the highest level of use, the Heaven Flame 9 Suns could allow one's own flame to turn into 9 suns to attack the opponent. Usually, entry-level cultivation was cultivating a sliver of faint sun. After you cultivated a red sun, only then would that be level initial completion. If the Heaven Flame's level was blue, then the first sun would be blue color. It would melt everything. Using the Heaven Flame now wasn't like Yimo used it before, spraying it chaotically. Against a weak opponent one could easily win, but if it was against a master, then this would just be a waste of spirit sense and cultivation essence. Heaven Flame 9 Suns was very well described, and with Yimo's great learning ability, in just a month, he was near initial completion for level 1. The first sun was faint blue color. Yimo really wanted to find an opponent to test his Heaven Flame 9 Suns on, but he knew he couldn't now. The immortal crystals on the time formation disc were completely used up. Yimo also saw Su Jingwen just reach nascent soul state level 7, so he dashed out of the golden page world. In the mountains behind the desert, there was one man and woman joyfully collecting spirit herbs everywhere. These two were Yimo and Su Jingwen. After Yimo reached disaster transformation state level 6, his Heaven Flame 9 Suns level 1 was also near initial completion. At this moment, he didn't have any concerns coming back to this place filled with spirit beasts. The more the two went in, the higher level the spirit herbs. Su Jingwen was very excited and even forgot this place was the place with a stack of high-level spirit beasts. Soon, some spirit beasts started coming over. At the beginning they were level 7 spirit beast, but they realized Yimo didn't seem easy to mess with, so level 8 and level 9 spirit beasts came. Eventually, there were even a few level 10 spirit beasts. The growls woke Su Jingwen up and made her realize that they weren't at home. The reason they didn't charge up because one of the level 10 spirit beast Blue Windwolf and some level 9 and level 8 spirit beasts that had suffered at Yimo's hands. Those spirit beasts who didn't know Yimo's power charged up and were smashed down by Yimo's lightning. Even a level 10 spirit beast was charred and couldn't crawl up for a long while. They grew smart this time. They didn't come up together but closely followed Yimo and them. In no time, 100 more spirit beasts arrived. Yimo frowned. He wanted to send away these spirit beasts. There were so many spirit herbs here. He didn't want to give them up like that. But before Yimo did anything, the spirit beasts under the lead of a few level 10 spirit beasts charged down. This time, Emo didn't hold back and lightning rained over them. The entire valley was filled with the roar of thunder. Countless low-level spirit beasts died to lightning's sword. Those few level 10 spirit beasts were smashed into deep pits, and more low-level spirit beasts ran around frantically. This was Emo holding back. If he didn't, they would all be dead. Soon, this place was a mess. Hundreds of low-level spirit beast bodies lay here. The remaining spirit beasts didn't dare to come up anymore. Still, they didn't want to give up on the two, and they followed everywhere the two went. Seeing this, Emo was very annoyed. He threw out some lightning swords on the nearby rocks and said coldly, "I know you guys understand me. If you still stay behind me, I will kill you all." Hearing this, the spirit beasts immediately ran off. In the depths of the mountain ranges, there was a huge peak hidden by a formation. From the bottom to the top, there were rows of extremely luxurious cultivation homes. At the very top, there was a grandiose blue palace. In the depths of the mountain ranges, there was a huge peak hidden by a formation. From the bottom to the top, there were rows of extremely luxurious cultivation homes. At the very top, there was a grandiose blue palace. Inside the palace, a square-faced blue-haired man frowned as he listened to a beast cultivator reporting to him. He sat on the right chair of the top 3 chairs. The middle and left chair were empty. According to his position, he was ranked 3rd in this palace. Behind him were 2 beast cultivators, one seductive woman and one with a long beard. Hearing the report, the blue-haired man said, "You're saying level 10 spirit beasts can't even last one move in front of him?" "Yes, but he seems to have controlled his attack and didn't kill everyone. But in the end, he seemed to have gotten angry and thus killed tens of low-level beast cultivators. However, he did say that if anyone dares to follow him or stop him from finding spirit herbs, then he wouldn't be so easy," the beast cultivator said. "Mitchum." The man nodded and knocked on the chair handle. After a while, he suddenly asked, "Mainyang, Su Feng, what do you two think?" "Third God Lord," the woman called and said in a sweet voice, "that man can defeat level 10 spirit beasts in one move. Clearly, he's a truth realization state cultivator, and he just had his divine damnation. He's truth realization state primary stage power. This means his power would be only a little bit weaker than Third God Lord." This man's face didn't seem so natural as he knew that this woman exaggerated. He didn't have the ability to defeat level 10 spirit beasts in one move. The woman continued, "Plus, he didn't slaughter nor take beast cores. He knows his position, he's giving us face. Plus, he loves the low-level spirit herb. Clearly he hasn't seen much of the world. Since Big Godlord and Second Godlord aren't here, I think." The blue-haired man frowned. "What's there to hesitate about? Tell me. You spoke very well just then." Hearing this, the woman quickly said, "Yes, Third Godlord. I think we might as well let him do what he wants. He came from outside. He will just collect some spirit herbs and leave. If we coerce him, and he joins the riverside to attack us, it wouldn't be good." The blue-haired man nodded and looked at the long beard. "Su Feng, what's your opinion?" The man nodded. "I agree with Mainyang. Big and Second Godlord aren't here. We should be careful. Plus, they're just collecting some irrelevant low-level spirit herbs. It's far from our area of restriction. I don't think we need to care too much. Plus, recently, there have been quite a few human cultivators here. I wonder if they're together." The blue-haired man waved his hand. "We'll do that. Who cares if they're together or not? As long as they don't touch our area of restriction, we don't have to mess with them. We can decide things when Big and Second Brother are back." "Yes, Third Godlord," the reporter beast cultivator said respectfully and left. "Emo, what is this place? I can even see level 8 spirit herbs?" Su Jingwen was more and more shocked. Emo nodded. "I also want to know where this is, but there still isn't a beast cultivator here now. This probably isn't some important place. Wait, I'll call a spirit beast over to ask." Yemo's spirit sense suddenly saw a rainbow rise into the sky with a huge cultivation essence wave. Yemo saw that rainbow rope and knew it was Tangmingrao's magic artifact. She was about 10 kilometers from them. Yemo didn't expect her to be still alive. Seeing Yemo not move, Su Jingwen asked. Yimo, what are you looking at? Yimo smiled. I didn't expect sect leader to be still alive. She's in a valley 10 kilometers from here. She's fighting. I suspect she's been trapped by spirit beasts. Should we go help? Do you need to ask? Let's hurry up and go, Su Jingwen quickly said. Yimo nodded. Okay, let's go see. Su Jingwen knew what Yimo meant and smiled. Are you still angry about Ao Chindai? You were probably just an insect in sect leader Tang's eyes before. So what if you died? Then why do you still want me to help? Yimo looked at her in confusion. Su Jingwen held his arms and said, there are 2 reasons I want you to help. First, when the beast tide came, if it wasn't for her, Peihai City would have fallen and you wouldn't have been able to see me in Yangzhou. Second, at the palace, sect leader Tang told us to leave with her. We should help her. People aren't gods. How can they not make mistakes? Plus, one was her beloved disciple, the other was a stranger. Yimo wiped her face. You're really kind-hearted, but you're right. After we go out, I will make up to you. MHM, the thing I told you about before. Su Jingwen's blushed and didn't dare to say anything. At this moment, Tang Mingrao's face was full of fatigue. She was covered in injuries. Next to her was her disciple, Zhou Yushuang, and her master. There was also another man and woman. They were also covered in injuries and took turns to defend against the spirit beast's attacks. The 6 were relying on a level 8 defense formation, and this formation clearly wasn't set up by Tang Mingrao and them. A young woman was repairing the formation. The other 5 protected her and fended off the spirit beasts. Her formation skills were quite decent. When Su Jingwen walked over with Yimo, the woman and Tang Mingrao first saw them. Tang Mingrao immediately yelled, Yimo, come here quickly. But Tang Mingrao stopped. Yimo came over indeed, but he wasn't running. Instead, he came over slowly. What shook them more was when the spirit beasts saw Yimo and Su Jingwen, they all moved away. No one dared to attack them, even the leading level 10 spirit beasts. What was this? The spirit beasts stopped the attacks on the formation as though waiting for them to pass before attacking again. Yimo and Su Jingwen didn't go in. He called from outside. Sect leader Tang, come out. Let's collect some spirit herbs and we can go. What? Tang Mingrao thought she heard wrong. How could she not know there was a lot of spirit herbs here? A few days ago, she wanted to pass these mountains with Yuchan, but she didn't go very far and was stopped by spirit beasts. If she didn't see these 2 siblings relying on the defense formation, she would have died. As for Zhou Yushuang and her master, they also came here before her, or they would be dead too. Yimo looked at the fearful spirit beasts and yelled, Did you forget what I said before? These people are my friends. What are you staying here for? Piss off. The next thing that happened made them unable to close their mouths. These spirit beasts, although not willing, still left. Yimo, what's going on? Tang Mingrao had so many questions, and she suddenly realized she couldn't see Yimo's power level. Yimo intentionally hid his power level. He didn't want the high-level spirit beasts here to see his power level. He smiled. Sect leader Tang, recover first and change a set of clothes, then we'll talk. Tang Mingrao looked at her injuries and nodded. Zhou Yushuang and her master also thanked Yimo before going to the side to recover. But the young man walked up to Yimo and studied him before saying, You're the young God Lord Master? She suddenly shook her head and said, Sorry, I mistook you for the young God Lord. She suddenly shook her head and said, Sorry, I mistook you for the young God Lord. Then she bowed. Yin Yin thanks Qian Bei for saving my life. This is my brother Yin Jindong. That male cultivator also came quickly and said, I greet Qian Bei. Yimo checked their power. Both of them were body condensation state tertiary stage. He wondered how they came here. The sister was dressed like a married woman. She wasn't very pretty, but she wasn't ugly either. Her brother's face seemed wild but innocent. He didn't speak much. Yimo nodded. Go recover first. I have some things to ask later. Zhou Yushuang and Yuchan had the least injuries. Yuchan wanted to talk to Su Jingwen, but saw Su Jingwen was by Yimo's side and was hesitant. Su Jingwen and Yimo didn't wait for long before the rest of the people all came over. Yin Yin seemed prettier after changing a set of clothes. She walked up to Yimo and said carefully, Qianbei, ask what you like. Yimo waved his hand. Sister Yin, I'm not very old. Just call me Yimo. I'm not used to being called Qianbei. Yin Yin said carefully, yes, Brother Yi. She didn't dare to call Yimo by his name. In the cultivation realm, the difference between cultivation levels was very strict. Yimo didn't keep fussing with this matter and asked, where are we? Tang Mingrao and them also came over to listen. Clearly, they didn't know where this place was either. Yin Yin quickly said, Brother Yi, this place is called Godbeast Mountain Range. It has a lot of spirit herbs. The precious spirit herbs outside are just ordinary things here. Godbeast Mountain Range? Yimo looked at Tang Mingrao, but she shook her head. I don't know this place too. I've never heard of this place in North Far State. Is this place not North Far State? Su Jingwen called out in shock. Yimo was shook. Such a powerful teleportation formation. Just where was this teleportation formation leading to? Hearing this, Yimo's heart sunk. In North Far State it was good since he had Blue Moon, but if this was outside of Luo Yu continent then it was bad. Hearing this, Yin Yin looked at Yimo in shock. Qian, Brother Yi, you guys came from North Far State? You crossed the Heartless Sea? Hearing this, Yimo breathed easy. She knew about the Heartless Sea. She knew about North Far State. This meant that they were still on Luo Yu continent. Yimo nodded. Yes, we came from North Far State. We don't know this place. Which state is this? Yin Yin knew Yimo was no ordinary person to have warded off the spirit beasts. She quickly said, Brother Yi, we're at the God Beast Mountain Range. There's a river opposite here called Abyssal River. It's boundless and endless. No one knows where it leads to. Of course, some people say it leads to the demon realm. Yimo frowned. Demon land? I've heard of a demon prison Forbidden Grounds. But Demon Prison Forbidden Grounds is in South Peace State. Is this South Peace State? Yen Yen quickly shook her head. Brother Yi, I've also heard of South Peace State, but this place isn't South Peace State. It's West Extreme State. So they were in West Extreme State. Yimo nodded. This place was much closer to North Far State than South Peace State was. Hearing this, Tang Mingrao was very shocked. It was clearly impossible to cross the Heartless Sea with her power. She looked at Yimo. If Yimo wanted to go back, she wanted to ask Yimo to bring her back. Hearing this, Zhou Yushuang's master seemed overjoyed. West Extreme State was much better than North Far State to him. This place was abundant in spirit chi. Just looking at the abundant resources here, he wouldn't need to worry about cultivation resources. He never planned to go back to North Far State. Wait, are you talking about land or prison? Yimo felt things weren't right. Yin Yin immediately replied, Demon Land. Opposite the Abyssal River is a forest. That forest is called Endless Forest. It's said there are more high-level spirit herbs there than the God Beast Mountain Range. Where do you come from? Are there human cultivators here? I heard there are few human cultivators in the West Extreme State. Tang Mingrao asked some questions of her own. Yin Yin nodded. We come from West Cultivator City. It's a human cultivator city no smaller than this place. Almost all the human cultivators go there to cultivate or trade. Su Jingwen was shocked. There's a city that big? Yes, rather than a city, it's more like a region that human cultivators live in. West Extreme State can be divided into 4 blocks. The first is where the spirit beasts dwell. This includes the God Beast Mountain Range and Endless Forest. The second is West Cultivator City. The third is the Abyssal River, and last is the Demon Land, Yin Yin explained. Yimo didn't understand. That Abyssal River is only a few hundred kilometers wide. I can even scan to the other side with my spirit sense. How is the third block with the Demon Land? Yin Yin shook her head. Brother Yi, you can't scan your spirit sense to the opposite side all the time. You saw there were a few hundred kilometers because you were probably at Landing Desert. When you really wanted to cross the Abyssal River, it would take longer than crossing the Heartless Sea. Usually, if it's not at a special place and time, you can't cross it. The special place is Landing Desert, and the special time is December, which is now. Then what is the Demon Land? Yimo asked. Yin Yin answered, no one has been there. It's said there's 2 paths there. One is through the Abyssal River, but no one who has gone in has survived or come out. The other way is through the Sand River. The Sand River is the fourth block in West Extreme State. It's the largest. No one can go to all parts of it. Many cultivators who go and get lost forever and never come out. Hearing this, everyone fell silent. This West Extreme State was too eerie. Then if we want to leave West Extreme State, where do we go to get into the Heartless Sea? Tang Mingrao was worried about her sect. Yin Yin said, if you want to go to the Heartless Sea, you must get back to the West Cultivator City. That's the only place near the Heartless Sea. Yimo nodded. Yin, let's go collect some spirit herbs and then go to West Cultivator City. By the way, what was that young godlord about? Why are you here? Yin Yin quickly said, there are 3 godlords in this place and 1 young godlord. I thought you were the young godlord as you scared them away. But Sister Tang called you Yimo, and... She glanced at Su Jingwen and said, I heard the fiancé of the young godlord doesn't like him. She won't appear here with you like that. The young godlord cares about his fiancé a lot. He won't appear with another woman like this. We're at the God-Beast Mountain Range, but we're not inside the Forbidden Grounds. It's public that some cultivators sneak in here to pick spirit herbs, but there are too many high-level spirit beasts here, and most of them would be devoured. Then why do you dare to come in? Yimo frowned. Yin Yan's face dimmed. It's because I have a little brother called Yin Jinshin. 30 years ago, he was ambushed and poisoned when he was in the West Cultivator City, challenging the Heaven 36 domains. His bones softened, and he can't cultivate unless he rebuilds his body or gets the antidote. Yin Yan's face dimmed. It's because I have a little brother called Yin Jinshin. 30 years ago, he was ambushed and poisoned when he was in the West Cultivator City, challenging the Heaven 36 domains. His bones softened, and he can't cultivate unless he rebuilds his body or gets the antidote. You're looking for the I Ching vine? Yimo asked. Yin Yin nodded. Yes, we don't dare to hope for body rebuilding herbs, but if we can find the I Ching vine, it would be much better. I wouldn't come here if it wasn't for that vine. I'm also going to dig for spirit herbs. You can follow behind. It's up to your luck whether you can find it or not. Yimo immediately said. He didn't mind helping them casually. Thank you, Brother Yi. Yin Yin immediately thanked and followed Yimo. Even Yin Zhendong came up and thanked Yimo. If they didn't follow Yimo, it would be very hard for them to find the vine even though they came here. Yimo didn't ask anything more and the group followed him, digging up spirit herbs as they talked. It was like they were in their own garden. No spirit beast dared to appear before them. Some spirit beasts saw them come and quickly moved aside. However, although there were a lot of spirit herbs here, they were mostly level 6 and level 5. There were few level 7 and even less level 8. They never encountered the I Ching vine. As time went on, Yin Yin grew worried. She knew Yimo wouldn't be staying here forever. If Yimo felt he had enough spirit herbs and wanted to leave, it would be almost impossible for her to get the vine. Tang Mingrao saw her expression and sighed. Yin Yin saved her and her disciple. She was grateful, so she said, Martial Sister Yin, what's the Heaven 36 domains your brother challenged? Yin Yin heard this and immediately answered, there are 3 famous places in West Cultivator City. The first is Life and Death Tower. The second is Xing Cultivator Association. The third is Heaven 36 domains. The 36 domains is the most famous. Almost all cultivators above body condensation state went there. The Heaven 36 domains is the best place for cultivators to cultivate their domain. It's suitable for even truth realization state peak stage cultivators. Yimo heard this and also had some interest. His domain was in initial completion, but that was through his own learning and his battles with other people. He had never had a systematic knowledge of domain. No one had taught him. If there was a place like Heaven 36 domains to allow him to completely understand the notion of domain and then perfect it with his 3 birth chant, then his battle power would increase many folds. If he went there, wouldn't his domain be able to reach great completion? Yimo was disaster transformation state level 6 and knew that the higher the power level, it wasn't just a battle of cultivation essence and spirit sense, but also understanding of magic and domain. Would those who passed the Heaven 36 domains get a deeper understanding of domain? Yimo immediately asked. Yin Yin shook her head. Brother Yi, you've never been to West Cultivator City, so you've never seen it. It has existed since antiquity, but no one has passed the 30th domain. The most powerful truth realization state cultivator I've seen came out at the 26th domain. Why doesn't he try the 27th? Yu Chan asked. Yin Yin answered, if you don't have the power to pass through the next domain but you force your way in, your domain will be torn apart and you can't get out. That truth realization state cultivator knew he was only able to reach the 26th domain, so he came out. There are countless cultivators who die inside each year. Did your brother? Tang Mingrao subconsciously asked, but immediately stopped. She didn't want Yin Yin to be sad again. She shook her head. No, my brother was body condensation state peak stage power. He went with his friend and reached the 9th domain, but he was ambushed there. At this moment, Yin Yin looked up at the direction Yi-Mo was going and suddenly called out, Brother Yi, we can't go forward anymore. Yi-Mo looked at her in confusion. Why not? It's the forbidden grounds ahead. No human cultivators are allowed inside. This row of spirit attraction trees are the markings. Beyond the trees are the forbidden grounds. If we go in, the beast cultivators of this place will hunt us down, Yin Yin quickly said. Yi-Mo felt the dense spirit chi behind the trees and knew the real high-level spirit herbs were inside there. Yi-Mo expanded his spirit sense, but found he couldn't see inside at all. Now that Yin Yin said this, he couldn't go inside. If she didn't tell him, Yi-Mo could say he didn't know. Yi-Mo knew there were high-level spirit beasts here. He nodded and didn't go in. Those spirit beasts didn't come looking for trouble clearly because they were told not to. Since other people didn't want trouble, Yi-Mo didn't want to start trouble either. Just when Yi-Mo was about to leave, Yin Yin suddenly charged into the forbidden grounds. Yin Yin, what are you doing? Tang Mingrao was shook. Yin Yin just said this was forbidden grounds, so why did she charge inside? Yi-Mo was confused too, but when he saw the Yixing vine inside, he understood. Yi-Mo didn't stop her. He knew she would come out after she got the vine. But Yin Yin wasn't so lucky. She didn't go in 1 kilometer before a gray shadow dashed towards her. She cried in pain and was slapped away out of the forbidden grounds. She spat some blood and spasmed on the ground. Yi-Mo frowned and gave Su Jingwen a pill. Jingwen, feed her. Then he went towards the forbidden grounds. The shadow didn't hide. He was a disaster transformation state peak stage beast cultivator. He looked nervous when he saw Yi-Mo come, but didn't fight. When he saw Yi-Mo cross inside, his face changed and yelled, Do you know you've come inside the God Beast Mountain Range forbidden grounds? Those who come in are killed no matter what. If it wasn't for Yi-Mo, he would have killed Yin Yin for coming in the forbidden grounds. Yi-Mo knew this beast cultivator let Yin Yin have it easy, but to him, such an attack was no different than killing her. He could stop Yin Yin and let her leave or wait for her to explain herself. If he didn't have top-grade pills, she would be no different than her brother. Yi-Mo knew this beast cultivator let Yin Yin have it easy, but to him, such an attack was no different than killing her. He could stop Yin Yin and let her leave or wait for her to explain herself. If he didn't have top-grade pills, she would be no different than her brother. I just came here so I don't know some god-beast forbidden grounds, but you hurt my friend. Should I give you a slap or do something else? Yi-Mo came in the forbidden grounds, but didn't attack immediately. The beast cultivator saw Yi-Mo come in, but there was nothing he could do. To him, Yi-Mo was a truth realization state cultivator. If he dared to attack first, he must be sick of living. Qin Bei, this is our God Beast Mountain Range forbidden grounds. We didn't stop Qin Bei from collecting spirit herbs outside, but if you still stay here, you will be our mortal enemy. The beast cultivator knew that he was no match for Yi-Mo, but guarding the forbidden grounds was his job. If he dared to retreat, he would be dead if he went back. He had sent for help, and now he could only wait. Yi-Mo sneered. I was never planning to go in the forbidden grounds, but you saw. My friend just wanted one spirit herb, and you injure her so gravely. Now I'll give you 2 options. One is to let me slap you, or let us go inside and collect spirit herbs for a day. Yi-Mo was planning to just teach him a lesson and take away the Yixing vine, but after he came in he saw there were much better spirit herbs here. The spirit chi was more than 10 times greater than outside. These beast cultivator really had a good place. There was no way he would let EMO slap him, and letting them come in was more impossible. The disaster transformation state beast cultivator knew he couldn't win, but he still could only release his magic artifact. At this moment, that blue-haired man looked coldly at a beast cultivator knelt before him. He dares to enter the forbidden grounds? Yes, for real. He really came in, the beast cultivator said shakily. The blue-haired man looked coldly at the two behind him. Mainyang, didn't you say he knew his position? Why did he come in? The woman wasn't too worried, she bowed. Third Godlord, since he came in by mistake, you only need to explain things to him. I think he would know what to do after seeing you. If he really wants to force his way in, I believe Third Godlord doesn't even need to attack. The man heard this and nodded. Okay, let's go see him together. Yemo saw the cultivator release his magic artifact and just wanted to blast him into the ground when he heard howling sounds. Half a minute later, dense groups of spirit beasts charged over. The area inside and outside the forbidden grounds were filled with spirit beasts. The lowest level spirit beasts were level 6, but most were level 8 and level 9. There were even 100 level 10 spirit beasts. Yuchan and everyone else's face went pale. Even Yin Yin was full of shock and regret. She regretted going in. Seeing this, Yemo stopped and waved to Su Jingguin and them outside for them to come in. But the spirit beast outside didn't charge in. They just surrounded the outside. Yemo looked at the disaster transformation state peak stage beast cultivator and suddenly sneered. You want to see me cause carnage? Very well, I will show you. Then, Yemo waved and multiple lightning arcs rained down. The spirit attraction trees were immediately destroyed and the place was a mess. Seeing the power of Yemo's lightning, the disaster transformation state peak stage beast cultivator's face changed. Just when he wanted to say something, there was howling behind him. The disaster transformation state cultivator's face dazed and showed a sliver of horror. He quickly bowed and stood on the side. As soon as he did, a level 10 peak ice leopard landed, and behind him were more than 10 disaster transformation state beast cultivator and 2 truth realization state primary stage beast cultivator. There were tens of level 10 spirit beasts, and there was a level 11 two-headed lion amongst them. They were all behind the level 10 peak ice leopard. A blue-haired man got off the leopard. He was also a beast cultivator and was truth realization state level 4. Yemo took a cold breath in. This form was too powerful. As soon as the beast cultivators came, the other spirit beasts and beast cultivators all stopped. There was a man and woman behind the blue-haired beast cultivator, and they followed closely as the beast cultivator walked towards Yemo. The beast cultivator studied Yemo, and his eyes spasmed. He couldn't see Yemo's power level. He was suspecting if Yemo's divine damnation before was immortal ascension divine damnation. Usually, cultivators would immediately ascend into the immortal realm after the divine damnation, but some powerful cultivators can extend that time for at most a month. Third God Lord Master, the disaster transformation state beast cultivator said shakily. The blue-haired man waved his hand, and the disaster transformation state peak stage retreated to the side. That seductive-looking female cultivator walked up to Yemo and saluted with her fists. Friend, we've been giving you convenience. Why did you still come into our forbidden grounds? Our third Godlord Master is here. If you have no reason, then no matter what, our mountain range won't let you go. These words gave him enough face, but also gave them a way out. Yemo nodded and saluted with his fists to the blue-haired cultivator. I'm Yemo. I greet Third Godlord. The blue-haired cultivator also saluted with his fists, but didn't talk. Yemo said, I was passing by your sacred lands and saw the spirit herbs here were good, so I wanted to collect some low-level spirit herbs. My friend just saw a Yixing vine and wanted to pick it but was heavily beaten. If I wasn't a pill master and had some pills, my friend would be long dead. Now you bring so many high spirit beasts here, Third Godlord. Do you want to have a battle? If so, I'm willing to accompany you till the end. Then, Yemo's power rose and instantly swept over a radius of a few kilometers of radius. His state was in initial completion, and he knew the weakness of this Third Godlord, so he targeted that. The blue-haired cultivator was hesitating, but suddenly felt Yemo's power. His mind was shaken, and an opening was created. He was surprised. If Yemo fought him now, he would have the lower hand for sure. Just his chi was this powerful. Clearly, he was at least truth realization state peak stage power. Such a powerful cultivator, he was no weaker than Big and Second Brother. Third God Lord immediately defended against this pressure with all his mind and saluted with his fists. So it's a misunderstanding. We have a lot of I Ching vines in the Forbidden Grounds. If Brother Yi wants them, just ask. It's simple, but just charging into our Forbidden Grounds like this is against our rules. Yemo saluted with his fists. Since it's a misunderstanding, then never mind. Sister Yin, collect the I Ching vine and let's go. Yemo saw there were so many spirit beasts here, and as for the Big and Second God Lords who hadn't appeared yet, he didn't need to fight them all. Ha 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 ha. A laughter sounded. Who dares to collect spirit herbs here? Third God Lord, are you going to break the God Beast Mountain Ranges rules just because Great and Second God Lord aren't here? Or are you scared of people and don't dare to tell these human insects to piss off? A tall young man landed not far from the Third God Lord. He didn't seem ugly, but his face was very dark. Hearing this, Yemo frowned. He wasn't going to follow up the matter of Yin Yin being heavily injured, but someone wanted to stop them from getting even one I Ching vine. Young God Lord. The beast cultivators all bowed. The black-faced man looked at Third God Lord in contempt and said to a truth realization state beast cultivator he brought, "Take those insects away." The Third God Lord saw this and frowned. Just when he wanted to say something, he stopped when he heard the young God Lord was going to teach Yemo a lesson. He just closed his eyes and ignored the scorn of the young God Lord. The Third God Lord saw this and frowned. Just when he wanted to say something, he stopped when he heard the young God Lord was going to teach Yemo a lesson. He just closed his eyes and ignored the scorn of the young God Lord. Yes. The truth realization state beast cultivator grabbed at Yemo with cultivation essence giant hand. He treated Yemo as a low-level cultivator. Yemo looked very young. Such a young human cultivator would be at most a hollow spirit state cultivator. Even the highest-powered woman was only disaster transformation state level 8. Yemo saw this underestimating move and smirked. This was just a truth realization state level 1 beast cultivator. Even if he fought with him at full power, he might even be killed, but this guy still acted so cocky. Zisu was released instantly, Illusion Cloud Domain Shatter Strike. Yemo targeted the beast cultivator's underestimation of him. This way, he would make him suffer greatly in this blow, and thus he wouldn't be able to tell his power. Otherwise, he would have to run facing so many beast cultivators. Crack the truth realization state, beast cultivator's cultivation, essence, giant hand immediately cracked and disappeared against Yemo's sword ray. However, Zisu didn't stop at all and sliced over at the domain's weakest point. Immediately, the beast cultivator's domain also dissipated. Seeing this, the beast cultivator was scared soulless. He was immediately about to release his defense magic artifact, but the space around him slowed down. At this instant, his body went cold. This cultivator broke his domain and controlled him with domain instead. Splurge Zisu slashed over the beast cultivator's chest, bringing a string of blood. The truth realization state beast cultivator flew out hundreds of meters before barely stopping. A deep gash stretched from his chest to his stomach. Blood kept trickling outside. The beast cultivator quickly ate a pill before looking at Yemo in shock. Yemo didn't chase him but released 4 black lightning arcs. After 4 more explosions, the level 10 spirit beasts who went to grab Tang Mengrao and then were sent flying back, charred. Yemo then looked back at the young God Lord and waved his hand. An arm-thick lightning arc flew over. No. The Third God Lord saw Yemo casually beat a truth realization state primary stage beast cultivator to heavy injury without any resistance. The other 4 level 10 spirit beasts really couldn't even last one move in front of him. If he was to slaughter, how many spirit beasts would die in the God Beast Mountain ranges? He rejoiced that he didn't attack Yemo, but seeing Yemo use lightning arc against the young God Lord, he was worried. If the young God Lord was dead, then they would become mortal enemies. But it was too late. Yemo's lightning arc already flew over. A terrifying explosion sounded, blurring people's vision. After everything cleared, everyone saw a scared to the extreme young god lord. He didn't get killed, but a huge 10-meter rock before him was pulverized and some pebbles splashed onto his face, drawing some blood. Seeing this, the blue-haired beast cultivator stopped his words. Clearly, Yemo knew to control himself. Yemo walked up to that young god lord and patted his face. Young god lord master, the insect is still here. Are you going to capture me? That truth realization state beast cultivator pointed at Yemo in terror. Your truth realization state peak stage. Only a cultivator so much more powerful than him could instantly see the weakness of his domain and break it easily. He couldn't even resist at all. Yemo didn't answer him and acted contemptuous as he asked, "Did you know I let you live just then? That was on third god lord's account. If you dare to be so rude again, I won't let you go a second time." Hearing this, the third god lord immediately felt satisfied. That young god lord immediately came to scorn him, and now he offended this man and was only let go on his account. Your truth realization state peak stage cultivator. That young god lord looked at Yemo in shock. Yemo just sneered. "Do you believe I can crush you at any time?" That young god lord dazed for a moment and reacted. But it was impossible for him to show weakness in front of all those spirit beasts and beast cultivator. He was regretting coming here, but he said coldly, "You can kill me if I..." Liang Wulon frowned. "I'm a bastard. I believe you can escape from here, but as long as you're still in West Extreme State, the God Beast Mountain Range will get revenge for me. The hidden elder of ours will also help me." Yemo was truly shook this time. There was another hidden elder other than the three god lords? That hidden elder without question was Truth Realization State Peak Stage. Luckily, he didn't kill this young god lord on a whim. However, Yemo still patted his face. "Hidden elder? I'm not scared, but why would I stay in West Extreme State? I'm just passing by. I will be going back to South Peace State. If you have time, come find me at South Peace State. I'm waiting." Even if the spirit beasts here went to South Peace State, he wouldn't be scared in South Peace State. Hearing this, the young god lord fell silent. He was about to leave West Extreme State. He wouldn't be scared of any threats. Plus, South Peace State's cultivation level was no weaker than West Extreme State. The elder from here wouldn't get much good out of going to South Peace State. Plus, those elders wouldn't leave the mountain ranges. Seeing this, Yemo didn't keep scorning him. He walked up to that third god lord and saluted with his fists. "Thank you, third god lord." Then he signaled to Yin Yin. Seeing this, Yin Yin immediately reacted and knew Yemo was telling her to go dig the Yixing vine. No spirit beast nor beast cultivator stopped her this time. The third god lord saluted with his fists. "Brother Yi, you're too polite. By the way, you said you were a pill master?" Hearing this, Yemo immediately realized that the third god lord wanted to connect with him. They had a lot of spirit herbs. It was too good of a deal to use them to connect with him. Yemo said this before with this intention. He saw there were so many spirit herbs here untouched and knew there was few pill masters here. He nodded. "Yes, but I'm not a pill master. I'm a level 8 pill king. If you need anything for me to do, I can help." The higher level he said he was, the more high-level spirit herbs they would be giving him. If he wasn't scared that this third god lord wanted him to concoct heaven-grade level 9 pills, he would be saying he was level 9 pill king. Yang Mengrao knew Yemo must have reached disaster transformation state. She knew his insane cultivation speed and ability to fight beyond his level. It had been less than a month, and Yemo reached disaster transformation state. Tang Mengrao was speechless. She didn't dare to imagine this despite knowing Yemo had 2 immortal crystals. "What? You're a level 8 pill king?" The third god lord wadded. He couldn't control his shock anymore. After 3 whole seconds, the third god lord was dazed and asked again, "Brother Yi, you're really a level 8 pill king?" After 3 whole seconds, the third god lord was dazed and asked again, "Brother Yi, you're really a level 8 pill king?" Yemo laughed. "Are level 8 pill kings really rare? I can concoct for you on the spot." It was very rude to do that, so third God Lord quickly waved his hand. No need, no need. I really didn't expect Brother Yi to be a level 8 pill king. That's magnificent. Then he rubbed his hands. Brother Yi, you know that we don't have a lot of things, but we have a lot of spirit herbs. However, we don't even have a level 1 pill king. How about Brother Yi come be our guest at Godlord Peak? I promise you will be happy. Even the beast cultivators behind him looked at Emo with uncertainty and shock, but most were suspicious. Even the young Godlord seemed in extreme disbelief. If he knew Emo was level 8 pill king, he would give even 100 I Ching vines, much less one. Even in the Endless Forest and the West Cultivator City, pill kings were extremely rare, much less level 8 pill kings. They were sure Emo was a truth realization state peak stage cultivator. If it wasn't a truth realization state peak stage cultivator, who would dare to say he was a level 8 pill king unless he never wanted to see the sun again? Although Emo knew the third Godlord didn't have any bad will, he had concerns bringing so many people to the God Beast Mountain range. If he didn't go, it would be a waste. This third Godlord must have a lot of high-level spirit herbs. Level 8 and level 9 spirit herbs were very useful to him now. He was a level 8 pill king, and if he wanted to reach level 9, he would need large amounts of level 9 spirit herbs to experiment with. The reason level 8, level 9 pill kings were so rare was mainly due to not having enough spirit herbs to practice on. He was disaster transformation state level 6, and if he didn't have enough cultivation resources, he might stay at this level for another 100 years. But if he had top-notch cultivation resources such as large amounts of extreme-grade spirit ranges or a few immortal crystals, he would be able to reach disaster transformation state peak stage quickly. Then, he would need to concoct pills for reaching truth realization state. For that, he would need to be a level 9 pill king. Without question, even if there were level 9 pill kings on Luoying continent, he wouldn't be able to find them. He could only rely on himself. So, Emo was truly interested in Third Godlord's invitation. Seeing Emo's silence, Third Godlord suddenly woke up. Brother Yi, I was too rude. I'm Jiao Huanjin, God Beast Mountain Range's Third Godlord. Then he said to the Disaster Transformation State Peak Stage Beast Cultivator Guard, tell everyone to go do what they need to do. Brother Yi is our guest now. No one shall stop him. Yes. The beast cultivator answered and followed the order. Moments later, all those spirit beasts left. Seeing this, Emo knew that the third Godlord truly wanted to connect with him. Just when he wanted to agree, the third Godlord said hesitantly, Brother Yi, would you be able to concoct the Snow Sang pill? Emo immediately asked, you have the level 8 spirit herb blue snow seed? Snow Sang pill was a heaven-grade level 7 pill. It was very hard to concoct. Ordinary level 8 pill kings would need to be careful. Its main purpose was to cure pill poison. However, no one could afford to use the pill as the main ingredient was blue snow seed. It was a level 8 spirit herb and was very rare. Theoretically, it should be a level 8 heaven-grade pill, but it had a special attribute. It couldn't be kept for long. It would only last for a year, and then it would melt like snow no matter what. Thus, the value of the pill was greatly reduced. You're indeed a level 8 pill king. This is great. Brother Yi, this is great. Third Godlord immediately said in surprise and joy. Emo laughed to himself. If a level 8 pill king was confirmed like this, then there would be level 8 pill kings everywhere in South Peace State. Then, Third Godlord took out a blue snow seed and gave it to Emo. Brother Yi, please help me concoct a Snow Sang pill. I need it desperately. He thought that Emo didn't want to go to the Godlord Peak, so he took it out here. Seeing that Third Godlord didn't even use Jade Box to preserve the blue snow seed, Emo was speechless. But he was happy that Third Godlord didn't tell him to keep going to the Godlord Peak. Seeing this, the young Godlord didn't leave immediately either. He looked over, wanting to see if Emo could concoct a heaven-grade level 7 pill. Emo set up a restriction, casually making the people around unable to see his methods. Then, he took out Shinnon Cauldron and the Mist Lotus Heart Fire. The restriction he set up casually made the third Godlord gaze his eyes out. The two beast cultivator behind him and the young Godlord were also dumbfounded. They could tell by that restriction that Emo was at least a formation grandmaster. A formation grandmaster was a pill king too? Who dared to believe this? Yin Yin already collected the I Ching vine when she saw Yemo's actions. She was dazed. She was a level 6 formation great master. She had spent a fortune to get that broken level 8 formation to stop the beast cultivators for nearly a month. Now, she realized her formation knowledge was nothing compared to Yemo's. Yemo had already melted the blue snow seed. Snow Sang pill was much harder to concoct than heaven grade level 7 pills, but Yemo was a level 8 pill king, and in 8 minutes, he was starting to condense the pill. His restriction stopped vision and spirit sense, but it didn't stop smell. A faint pill aroma spread out. When everyone smelled this, their minds were cleared and their bodies seemed to have lost impurities. Everyone knew that what disappeared wasn't impurities, but pill poison. Just smelling the aroma could remove pill poison. What would happen if you ate the pill? The third godlord was shaking with excitement. That's right. It's this smell. It's this smell. The young godlord's face was uncertain too. He also had the luck to get a Snow Sang pill before. He could tell by the smell that it was indeed the Snow Sang pill. But the smell was much purer than the one he got before. He finally realized why Third Godlord was so polite to Yemo. Yemo finished condensing the pill and used pill-pulling spells. Then, he brought out 6 pure snow-white pills and put them into the jade bottle. Then, Yemo removed the restriction. The desperate Third God King ran up to Yemo. Yemo passed the jade bottle over. The Snow Sang pills are done, Brother Jiao. Have a look, see if they're up to your standard. Yes, yes. Third Godlord said before even opening the bottle. He desperately opened the bottle and saw 6 snow-white pills laying inside, and the joy on his face was inexpressible. The degree of whiteness represented the level of the pill. These pills didn't have a sliver of yellow and were pure white like snow. They were special grade Snow Sang pills. These are special grade snow-white pills? After a long while, the third Godlord exclaimed. He still couldn't believe he just got them. How many spirit stones would be needed to buy these? Yemo just gave them to him in merely 15 minutes. That young godlord didn't expect Yemo to really be a level 8 pill king. He made 6 special grade Snow Sang pills in such a short time. Clearly, he was a top-level level 8 pill king, able to reach level 9 pill king at any time. That young godlord didn't expect Yemo to really be a level 8 pill king. He made 6 special grade Snow Sang pills in such a short time. Clearly, he was a top-level level 8 pill king, able to reach level 9 pill king at any time. The third godlord could see this as well. After a long while, he woke up from his shock and joy. He quickly put away the pills and saluted with his fists. Brother Yi, such powerful pill concoction skills. I believe you won't take long to reach level 9 pill king. You're the most talented pill king I've ever seen. Yemo smiled but didn't speak. He was thinking, the spirit herbs I need to reach level 9 pill king are on you. Hurry up and take them out. Brother Yi, Huanjin shamelessly want to invite Brother Yi to be a guest at our Godlord Peak. I will treat you as the most honorable VIP, third Godlord invited. Yemo Long wanted to go after concocting the pills. The third Godlord's head was simple, but Yemo didn't dare to underestimate the God Beast mountain range. He was with Jingguan. What if something happened? Plus, that young Godlord hated him. So Yemo saluted with his fists without hesitation. Thank you, third Godlord, but I need to go. Seeing that Yemo was really going to go, the third Godlord quickly took out a storage ring for Yemo. Brother Yi. This is just a small gift. Hope you don't mind. He wanted Yemo to go to the Godlord Peak to collect spirit herbs himself, but now that Yemo was going to go, he could only give Yemo the spirit herbs he had on him. Yemo was waiting for this and took it. When he scanned his spirit sense in, his mouth spasmed. There were more than 50 level 9 spirit herbs and over 400 level 8 spirit herbs. Wealthy. This God Beast mountain range was too wealthy. He just helped third Godlord concoct a cauldron of Snow Sang pills. One could see that the great and second Godlord would only be more wealthy. He even wanted to set up a stall here to concoct pills. However, Yemo was regretful to find there was no ice carrot or truth spirit grass here. Yemo thanked. Thank you, Brother Jiao. You gave me so many precious spirit herbs. Seeing Yimo take his things, the third god lord rejoiced. Brother Yi, I came out in a rush, so I didn't bring a lot of spirit herbs with me. Next time, you must come visit. I will give you more spirit herbs. Yimo couldn't tell him to go back and pick them up, so he answered, Okay, if I come next time, I will come visit. One of my friend's soul is poisoned. Would you be able to get an ice carrot? He needed it for truth carrot pill, of course, but he couldn't let them suspect his power level. As for truth spirit herb, he didn't say it, as its only use was to concoct truth spirit pill. Ice carrot, third godlord frowned. Yimo could tell he didn't have it. It was much more precious than ordinary level 9 spirit herbs, and it was found only in icy lands. Just when Yimo wanted to say never mind, third godlord said, Brother Yi, come to my godlord peak in 3 months and I will find a way for you. With this, Yimo nodded. If I'm free in 3 months, I will come visit third godlord for sure. Then, Yimo took out Blue Moon and let Su Jingwen and them go on before bidding farewell. Seeing this blue trail, the young godlord knew that even with the elder helping out, they wouldn't be able to keep this pill king. Eyeing Yimo off, third godlord rejoiced. Gaha, I'm quite lucky. Today I, Zhao Jinhuan, connected with a master like this. Let's go back. The young godlord saw this and his face was green. He looked in Yimo's direction for a while and left. Blue Moon followed Yin Yan's direction and left the God Beast mountain range after 2 days. Even Blue Moon needed 2 days to leave here. Clearly the God Beast mountain range was very large. He looked at Yin Yin and asked, How did you get so far into the God Beast mountain range? Yin Yin feared him a little after seeing all of Yimo's capabilities. She quickly answered, My brother and I went in 2 years ago, and we've been very careful. Only a month ago were we trapped by spirit beasts, so we used that formation to last till Brother Yi came. Yimo nodded. If they didn't run into him, they would be dead for sure. Blue Moon sped up even more after leaving the God Beast mountain range. In just a week, Blue Moon neared an extremely long mountain range. Yin Yin said, After this mountain range is the West Cultivator World, the West Cultivator City. Yimo nodded. After Blue Moon passed the mountain range, more human cultivators appeared. Those cultivators saw Blue Moon's speed and moved aside. Clearly, it was a powerful Qin Bei to be able to own such a flying magic artifact. 2 days later, Yimo saw a tall city gate with his spirit sense. There were the 2 words, West Cultivator. There was nothing else but that, not even any city walls. West Cultivator City is a city without walls. Brother Yi, it's best to change a flying magic artifact before going in, Yin Yin said. Yimo knew that since the West Cultivator City was on par with God Beast Mountain Range, it wouldn't be a simple place. He was planning to change a magic artifact, so he let out a low-grade flying cultivation artifact. 8 minutes later, they arrived outside the city. There were a lot of cultivators going in and out. Some even had a bloody smell on them, clearly coming back from killing spirit beasts. As soon as they went in, Zhou Yushuang's master bid them farewell. He never planned on going back to North Far State. The West Cultivator City's spirit chi was extremely dense. It was the best option to cultivate here for them. Yin Yin also came to bid farewell. They left behind a communication bead saying that after her brother recovered, they would come thank Yimo immediately. Seeing no one was around, Tang Mingrao asked, Yimo, when are you going back to North Far State? I want to go back with you. Yimo nodded. She would have to go with him, or she would never get back to North Far State. He had no pressure crossing Heartless Sea to North Far State now. He was Disaster Transformation State Level 6 and had Blue Moon. He wasn't scared of Truth Realization State either. Where do you want to go now? If it's not convenient, I can find a place to stay with you, Chan. Just tell us when you leave, Tang Mingrao said. Su Jingwen spoke. It's fine, sect leader Tang. We can stay together and help each other. Tang Mingrao also wanted to follow Yimo. Hearing this, she immediately said, That would be great. Sister Jingwen, just call me Sister Tang now. We've gone through hardship together. Su Jingwen held Yimo's arm and smiled. Sure, Sister Tang. Yimo didn't really mind Tang Mingrao following. His attention was on the cultivators here. He found that cultivators from this city were very ferocious and had a killing chi on them. Clearly, This was a place of survival of the fittest. Let's go find a place to stay first. Then I'm going to check out Heaven 36 domains, Emo said. Xing Cultivator Association, one of the 3 most famous places. Should we go have a look? Yuchan pointed at a black tower sign and asked. Emo scanned his spirit sense in and found it was blocked by the formation outside. Judging by the spirit chi density here, there would be a high-level spirit gathering formation inside. Emo scanned his spirit sense in and found it was blocked by the formation outside. Judging by the spirit chi density here, there would be a high-level spirit gathering formation inside. Even so, Emo didn't want to go there to waste time. His target was clear: go to Heaven 36 domains first. If his power improved greatly, he would go to the God-Beast Mountain Range and visit Third Godlord. If it wasn't, then he would leave West Cultivator City and go back to North Far State. At this moment, 2 Disaster Transformation State cultivators just got out of Xian Cultivator Association. Their faint bloody smell aroused Emo's attention. Then immediately, Emo heard the 2 sound transmit. Is it Truth Spirit Grass? That's right, it is indeed. This guy is asking to die. How dare he go to Xing Cultivator Alliance with it? He doesn't even know it's been exposed. The 2 noticed Emo in them and stopped talking immediately, leaving here quickly. Emo stopped. What was Xian Cultivator Association? There was actually Truth Spirit Grass? Could people kill here however they wanted? Let's go inside. Emo turned back and said to Tang Mingrao. Then he went in. If there were Truth Spirit herbs here, he really didn't want to go to God-Beast Mountain Range again. That 3rd Godlord seemed very nice, but Emo had never seen the 1st or 2nd Godlord, as well as those elders. He didn't think just because he was Disaster Transformation State Level 6, he was invincible. There wouldn't be a lot of people stronger than him in West Extreme State, but there wouldn't be few either. No one stopped them at the door and no one asked a thing, but when Emo and them walked inside, they were dazed. He thought this place was like a marketplace with all sorts of deals going on, but he instead saw a huge parlor, more like a square but with a roof. The square had intense spirit chi. Emo believed there was at least a half extreme grade spirit range below. There were all sorts of cultivators filling in the square. Most of them hid their power, but everyone was full of ferocity and killing chi. There were tens of transparent restrictions in the square, and some had cultivators cultivating inside. Emo only needed to look at them to know they were trying to break through. What sort of place was this? Just when Emo wanted to ask, one of the restrictions opened and a cultivator walked over with excitement. At the same time, extremely dense spirit chi seeped out of the restriction. As soon as this cultivator came out, 2 rushed towards the restriction. The 2 didn't say anything and fought immediately. Although they hid their power, Emo could tell one was Body Condensation State Level 6 and one was Body Condensation State Level 3. They 2 didn't fight for long, and that Body Condensation State Level 3 lost an arm. The Body Condensation State Level 3 knew he had lost, so he threw his storage ring. When the Body Condensation State Level 6 got this, he didn't kill the Body Condensation State Level 3 and went inside for cultivation. Emo shook his head and just wanted to leave when he saw the 2 sitting on the side also start fighting. The difference in power was too great. One was Body Condensation State Level 5 and another Hollow Spirit State. In half a minute, the Hollow Spirit State was killed and the Body Condensation State took the storage ring like nothing had happened and sat down again. One low-level cultivator came to the scene rapidly to clean up and then soon left this place. Emo found that you could fight here, but you couldn't sneak attack. You must challenge the cultivator even if they're in cultivation. Su Jingwen frowned too and held Emo's hand. This place is very bad. Let's go. Emo nodded. He had lost interest in this place. Wait. Before Emo left, a disaster transformation state, peak stage, stopped Emo. Emo looked at that cultivator coldly. That disaster transformation state peak stage looked at Tang Mingrao and then Su Jingwen. Leave the necklace on you and your shoes behind. Then you can go. Su Jingwen's face burst red and asked coldly, "Why should I?" The disaster transformation state frowned. "If not for your friend, I would keep you as well." "Piss off," Emo said coldly. Emo made 3 middle-grade cultivation artifacts and Su Jingwen had 2, They were her necklace and shoes. The necklace was very pretty because Emo added blue moon or to it. When the disaster transformation state heard Emo's words, he immediately said coldly, "You're asking to die." Then, he sliced a dark yellow sword ray towards Emo's head. This was indeed such a place. Emo wasn't going to hold back. His cultivation essence splurged out with Zisu. Emo was adamant on killing this disaster transformation state cultivator. Illusion Cloud Hua Mountain Strike brought a bloodthirsty purple ray over. A lot of people were watching this battle as this disaster transformation state peak stage cultivator was rather famous in the Xian Cultivator Association. That extremely vibrant purple sword ray caught people's attention even more. Soon, people realized Emo was no ordinary person either. Seeing this, the disaster transformation state cultivator sneered and just wanted to attack faster when he realized he seemed to be buried in mud. The half-moon sword he sent out also slowed down. His domain melted like snow in the sun. Not good, it's a tough one. The disaster transformation state peak stage's face changed. He was sure Emo was at least truth realization state. He was asking to die, robbing a truth realization state cultivator. Qianbei, Forg. A purple ray sliced across his forehead before he could even beg for mercy. An essence spirit sprouted out in worry, but before it could go far, the purple ray beamed up and melted it. Emo copied that body condensation state cultivator and picked up a storage ring. As for the cultivation artifact armor the disaster transformation state had, Emo wasn't interested at all. This square immediately fell dead silent. Some cultivators didn't even dare to look at Emo's eyes. A disaster transformation state peak stage was killed instantly at this young man's hands, and not even his essence spirit got away. This was truth realization state for sure. Some cultivators looked at the dead body. The armor was broken, but it was still a middle-grade cultivation artifact armor. It was still very valuable. But Emo was here, so no one dared to go up. Another low-level cultivator came rapidly. Seeing this, all the cultivators seemed disappointed. That cultivator rapidly dealt with the body. Before Emo and them could leave, a green-robed, well-dressed lady came over and bowed to them before saying softly, "Friends, our association leader invites you. If you're willing, I can lead the way." Everyone else showed eyes of envy hearing this. Emo sort of understood the purpose of the Xian Cultivator Association. It was to provide spirit chi to cultivators, and when they found great talent or powerful cultivators, they would try to bring them in. But Emo was uninterested in this. He waved his hand. "No need. We still have things to do, goodbye." Huh. The green-robed woman didn't expect Emo would reject. This was the first time she encountered such situation. Everyone else was dazed too. There was an idiot like this? "Masters, you really don't want to go." The green-robed woman didn't know what to say. "Masters, you really don't want to go." The green-robed woman didn't know what to say. Emo frowned and asked, "Do we have to go?" The woman could see Emo's annoyance and quickly shook her head. No, please don't misunderstand. We, the Xian Cultivator Association, won't coerce cultivators." "That's good." Then Emo turned around and left with his group following him. After a long while, Su Jingwen said, "This Xian Cultivator Association is too scary. You can kill and rob people without concern." Emo knew that Su Jingwen wasn't used to the law of jungle in the cultivation realm. Tang Mingrao said, "The Xian Cultivator Association is probably an organization that is here to attract more cultivators to come. I think those who show excellence here are noticed and invited to join. Then, they would give large amounts of cultivation resource to them." Emo nodded and agreed. Yuchan said, "Then if we don't go, will it be fine?" Emo didn't answer her. He knew that since there were so many people going, there would be a way for the Xian Cultivator Association to attract them. "Let's go find a place to stay first. If possible, I want to leave here quickly," Su Jingwen said. "Okay, let's find a place to stay first." Emo agreed. He had so many level 8 and level 9 spirit herbs, it was certain he was going to reach level 9 Pill King. Before he went back to North Far State, he needed to do two things: become a level 9 Pill King and find Truth Spirit Herbs or Ice Carrot. He didn't want to come, a middle-aged man asked in confusion. The green-robed woman stood before him. She bowed nervously. Yes, association leader. He didn't want to come, and then he left. I asked around and realized they just came to West Cultivator City. They don't really understand our rules. If they knew, they would join us for sure. The middle-aged man didn't speak, but the man next to him inquired, should we go investigate them? The middle-aged man waved his hand. No need. He's probably a truth realization state primary stage cultivator. Just as Louis said, when he realizes the benefits of joining us, he will come even if he was truth realization state peak stage. There's no need to investigate him. A truth realization state peak stage is not much to us, but there's no need to get on his bad side due to this. Yes, the other man replied. Emo and them found a place to stay. Emo had a lot of spirit stones, and he wasn't unwilling to spend them here. Shiyu Hotel was one of the largest hotels here. It was a top-grade luxurious cultivator hotel. Emo's 2 rooms were the most expensive ones in the hotel. One night cost 100,000 spirit stones. 1 month would cost 10 million. But the spirit chi here was extremely dense, and it had all sorts of facilities. The reason Emo didn't care about spirit stones now was because if he made a few cultivation artifacts or pills, they would be worth large sums of spirit stones. Plus, top-grade spirit stones were of little use to him in cultivation. He didn't need to keep storing them. Even though the formations here were top-notch, Emo still reset the formation in his room. He stayed with Su Jingwen, while Tang Mingrao stayed with Yuchan. When they settled in, the first thing Emo did was ask about the Xian Cultivator Association. The Xian Cultivator Association provided a cultivation place with dense spirit chi, the big hall Emo saw. They also provided the Breakthrough Spirit Eye, which was the cultivation place with restrictions. These places were free to enter, but you must fight over it with people. Usually, high-level cultivators wouldn't look for trouble with low-level cultivators, as that would lower their score in the Xian Cultivator Association. But if the low-level cultivator offended high-level cultivator, then they could kill them easily. However, most of the people hid their power in the Xian Cultivator Association. If the difference wasn't too great, no one would know who was stronger. High levels could make low-level cultivators hand over something, but they couldn't check low-level cultivators' storage rings. The main purpose of cultivating outside was for the Xian Cultivator Association to notice you. If they did, they would invite you in, and your cultivation progress would be huge. The Xian Cultivator Association had absurd cultivation resources. If you joined them, you would be allocated large sums of cultivation resources and dense spirit chi cultivation homes. They also controlled many ancient ruins that you could excavate yourself. Whatever you got from there belonged to you. The cultivators inside the hall could challenge anyone. You could reject, but if you did, you wouldn't be allowed in there again. The Xian Cultivator Association would send a messenger based on your performance. The girls were divided into yellow, orange, red, green, aqua, blue, purple. The better performance you showed, the darker the color of the messenger who came. Realizing this, Emo lost all interest for the Xian Cultivator Association. He was even unhappy. Only a green-robed messenger came to invite him. Emo and them stayed inside for 3 days because Emo had to concoct pills. Emo was also worried the Xian Cultivator Association would come investigate him, but Emo realized he thought too much. That's true. He only got invited by a green-robed messenger. They didn't even take him that seriously. On the 4th day, Emo was planning to go to Heaven 36 domains when the Yin siblings came over. Emo saw they were fine and knew the Wai Xing vine had worked. The 3 thanked Emo, and Yin Zhengxin wanted to lead Emo to Heaven 36 domains. According to Yin Zhengxin was the youngest, but he seemed older than the big brother. Anyhow, Emo agreed. Emo didn't want Su Jingwen to go, but she insisted on going. After all, it was dangerous to try there. Tang Mingrao also wanted to go there to deepen her understanding of domains, so they just all went together. West Cultivator City was a strange city. The cultivator residential place, spirit farms, herb gardens, and mountain ranges were all joined together. The Heaven 36 domain was a few hundred kilometers from their hotel, but it was still in the city. There was no air restriction, so they arrived there soon. The place was a trial ground, and so Yemo thought there wouldn't be a lot of people like the South P State Trial Tablet Square. But when Yemo came here, he realized this place had formed a commercial district and a marketplace. There were shops everywhere. As soon as Yemo walked in, he heard a bleak voice. Brother Yin actually found the I Ching vine, quite substantial. You can get up now. Congratulations. Yin Jinshin heard this voice and his face turned bad. He stared at that cultivator, asking coldly, Jin Qilong, did you conspire with people to harm me 30 years ago? This man sneered. Yin Jinshin, you need to be responsible for your words. I helped you out of goodwill, and yet you speak of me like this. If you dare to do so again, don't blame me for being rude. Yin Yin pulled him when Yin Jinshin wanted to say something. Yin Yin pulled him when Yin Jinshin wanted to say something. Yemo looked at this cultivator. He was body condensation state peak stage and was very skinny. However, his mouth was very big. The body condensation state looked contemptuously at Yin Jinshin, seeing that he said nothing more, but then smiled to Yemo. Friends, are you here to challenge the Heaven 36 domains? Yemo said casually, that's right. The big-mouth cultivator had an even greater smile hearing this. You can come in through our place. I can assure you will be very happy. From our Shizhong tunnel, cultivators have the lowest injury rate and the highest rate of entering higher domains. Plus, you're Yin Jinshin's friends. I will take care of you. It was as though he was old friends with Yin Jinshin. Yemo looked at Yin Jinshin in confusion. He didn't understand what this big mouth said at all. Brother Yi, you don't know the situation of the Heaven domain? Yin Jinshin asked. Yemo nodded. Yes, I thought since it's a trial ground, then you can just go in. Do you need something special? This is the first time I've heard of this tunnel. The big-mouth cultivator immediately realized it was Yemo's first time here and quickly stopped Yin Jinshin from talking and said, It's your first time here, then it's even better to come to our place. We will answer your questions precisely, and there will be someone dedicated to send you in. Since Yin Jinshin knew this, Yemo wasn't going to ask some stranger to explain this. To Yin Jinshin, Yemo was their savior. He wasn't going to let them get scammed, so he said to Yemo, Brother Yi, how about we find a spirit rest tower and I'll explain things to you? Yemo wanted to nod, but that big-mouth cultivator stopped Yin Jinshin again. Yin Jinshin, you don't need to explain. We will accommodate your friend well. He didn't let Yin Jinshin speak at all. Yemo's face sunk immediately, and he said coldly, Fuck off. That cultivator didn't seem to believe Yemo told him to fuck off. He reacted after a while and roared, You dare to tell me to fuck off? You think you're tough because you have a disaster transformation state cultivator? You've got balls, very well. The big-mouth cultivator sent a message and said coldly, You're dead for sure. How dare you tell your grandpa to piss off in the Heaven Domain Square? He then glanced at Tangmengrao and didn't dare to attack Yemo. Yemo was confused how this big-mouth cultivator saw Tangmengrao's power, but he wasn't going to be afraid of his threat. He looked at Yin Yin and asked, Sister Yin, what would happen if you killed here? Yin Yin was worried, but now that Yemo asked, she immediately remembered that Yemo was someone who could connect with Third Godlord. How could he be afraid of an overlord in Heaven Domain Square? She immediately answered, There's a rule that if a low-level cultivator offends a top-level cultivator, you may kill them. But usually, no one would do this, as someone who can take over a passage would be supported by someone powerful. She looked at Jin Qilong and carefully sent a sound transmission to Yemo. This Jin Qilong has a truth realization state level 3 for backup. Ordinary people don't dare to offend him. Yemo saw 2 disaster transformation state level 3 cultivators come over. Jin Qilong pointed cockily at Yemo. This man dared to tell our Shizhong Merchant Association to fuck off from Heaven Domain. Perhaps it's because he has a disaster transformation state as backup. The 2 disaster transformation state cultivator came and sealed off Tangmengrao's directions for attack. One of the persons said to Jin Qilong, Those who insult our Shizhong die. Yes, Jin Qilong answered and released a black, spiked whip magic artifact, smashing it at Yemo. Yemo sneered. Jin Qilong was mere body condensation state power. He was no different than an ant to Yemo. Yemo just kicked without even using magic artifact. There was a bloodthirsty glare in Jin Qilong's eyes. He loved crushing those who dared to challenge him to pulp. He loved seeing the helpless moan of the person's essence spirit, and then he would crush them. That was his greatest enjoyment. No one dared to do anything to him due to 11 Zhong Merchant Association's power. But today, he met Yimo. His whip slowed down in midair until it stopped moving completely. Jin Qilong had been here for 100 years, and seeing this, he immediately knew he was in Yimo's domain. He called out in shock, "You're a truth realization state, Qian Bei." But before he finished, his feet landed on his chest. He wanted to dodge, but he couldn't. Even if he wanted to fall over, he couldn't. Thud! Jin Qilong flew up and was blasted into a bloody mist midair. Not even his essence spirit was left behind. The cultivators watching took in a cold breath. Those two people who stopped Tang Mingrao both looked at Yimo in shock. One said hesitantly, "You're really a truth realization state, Qian Bei." Yimo said coldly, "Piss off. If you dare to stop me here again, don't blame me for smashing your Shizhong Merchant Association." Yimo realized you couldn't keep a low profile here. At this time, you needed to show your power. Only then would you earn respect. The two disaster transformation state level 9 heard this, and their face changed. They didn't dare to argue back. They were a mediocre merchant association. They had a lot of disaster transformation state cultivators, but only one truth realization state cultivator. They knew what sort of person Jin Qilong was, and clearly, he offended this Qian Bei. It was deserving for low-level cultivators to be killed if they offended high-level cultivators. Yimo saw these two were dazed for a long time and sneered. No matter if this man really wanted to connect with him or not, he didn't want anything to do with him. The way this merchant association did things was very domineering. It was him this time, but if it had been some other cultivator, he would have probably been tortured to death by Jin Qilong. No matter if this man really wanted to connect with him or not, he didn't want anything to do with him. The way this merchant association did things was very domineering. It was him this time, but if it had been some other cultivator, he would have probably been tortured to death by Jin Qilong. Yimo didn't believe that Jin Qilong did this for so long, and this Meng Sha didn't know. From this, it was obvious that Meng Sha was no good man either. He was a truth realization state level 3, so Yimo didn't want to offend him though. He didn't come reproaching him, so Yimo was happy to play dumb. He saluted with his fists. "Thank you, Association Leader Meng. I'm still busy now." Yimo thought this man would politely arrange another time, but his face sunk and his power rose. A fiery red crescent magic artifact appeared above his head. He said coldly, "This means you're not going to give me face? I came to invite you personally." Then, his killing intent burst out. Tang Mingrao took a few steps back. Yimo saw this and was angered too. He just pulled out Zisu without bothering to say anything else. He hacked over with Illusion Cloud Domain Shatter Strike. A purple ray sliced through the air and into Meng Sha's domain. Meng Sha thought that by scaring him, Yimo would succumb. He believed since Yimo was so young, he probably wasn't truth realization state. Even if he was at most level 1. But Yimo wasn't scared of him at all. "You have balls." Meng Sha was furious. In his view, he was already very polite and gave Yimo a lot of face by inviting him. How dare Yimo reject and attack him too? Before Zisu's purple ray fully activated, his magic artifact emitted a powerful red beam mixed with countless red killing intent that smashed at Zisu. Meng Sha thought that his killing intent could easily trap Yimo, and if Yimo was a little weak, this killing intent would churn Yimo to pieces. Crack! The red killing intent and purple rays clashed together. It sounded like something had shattered. Meng Sha was shook. He immediately realized that Yimo was at least a truth realization state cultivator. Without hesitation, he immediately was about to release a defensive cauldron, but before he could, he heard shuffling sounds around him. Meng Sha's face changed drastically. He immediately knew that his domain was starting to break. The purple ray's power wasn't mitigated in the clash with his crescent magic artifact, but instead shattered his domain. Not good. This man was at least truth realization state middle stage. Meng Sha immediately wanted to retreat, but his momentum stopped as though he was bound. Meng Sha now immediately broke into a cold sweat. He realized that Yimo instantly built his domain at the same time. Meng Sha burned his essence blood like crazy, forcefully releasing his cauldron. He wanted to tell Yimo to stop, but he couldn't say a word. But before he could fully activate the cauldron, he saw the purple magic artifact change again. The purple ray that dispersed completely disappeared, and what took its place was a 10-meter-long purple beam. The beam was like the beautiful ray of dusk from the edge of heaven. Illusion Cloud Hua Mountain Strike, the rapid strike of no return. Yimo was long unhappy at Meng Sha acting like he was the boss of everyone, threatening him and inviting him whenever he wanted. The onlooking cultivators could only see purple beam and red killing chi. They couldn't see Yimo and Meng Sha's actions at all. Meng Sha was truth realization state level 3, so of course he wouldn't be mesmerized. Moments later, the beautiful purple ray came before him. In his shock, Meng Sha quickly used the cauldron to block the path. The purple ray instantly hacked the cauldron and brought a splash of blood. Meng Sha flew back a few hundred meters before stopping himself. The cauldron had been hacked in half, and a deep gash reached down from his left shoulder to his leg. He looked at Yimo in shock. He didn't dare to believe that in such a short time, he had lost to this man. This cultivator seemed absurdly young. Even the most powerful cultivator in West Cultivator City couldn't render him a heavy injury in such a short time. With a clank, his crescent magic artifact landed at Yimo's feet. Yimo kicked, and that top-grade cultivation artifact was kicked aside 1 kilometer. He then looked dazedly at Meng Sha. "Do you have face?" An extremely valuable top-grade cultivation artifact was kicked away by Yimo like trash, but no one dared to pick that top-grade cultivation artifact up. This was Meng Sha's magic artifact. Just with what Yimo said, Meng Sha wouldn't have the face to stay in Heaven Domain Land. Yimo looked at Meng Sha contemptuously, but didn't keep attacking. He flung his hand and Zisu landed on his back. Yimo didn't even put it into his storage ring and just hung it on his back like a mortal martial artist. Everyone knew that Yimo was exerting his dominance. If anyone dared to piss him off like Meng Sha, then this was the consequence. However, this was quite the effective method. Su Jingwen looked at the Baron's sword and suddenly whispered in Yimo's ear, "You really do look like a hero like that Meng Sha said. I like this." Yimo's killing intent dispersed due to this, and he shook his head, saying to Yin Jinshin, who was dumbfounded, "Find a spirit rest tower and tell me about the rules here." "Yes, Yi brother Yi." He realized now that his sister was right. Yimo was a truth realization state peak stage master. Seeing Yimo leave, Meng Sha then took a pill and ate it, stopping the bleeding on his chest. His extreme shock was still there. He knew that it was very simple for Yimo to kill him, but he let him go. The reason Yimo didn't kill Meng Sha was not because he was merciful, but because he didn't know what would happen if he killed a truth realization state cultivator here. If this attracted more powerful masters, he might not be able to beat them. Meng Sha was truth realization state level 3. He didn't understand much of domains. But what if a truth realization state middle stage or tertiary stage came? If his domain was in great completion, then he wouldn't be scared of truth realization state tertiary stage masters anymore. After Yimo and them walked away a long while, Meng Sha summoned back his crescent, but his face was still very pale. He could feel his hands shaking. Who started this? Meng Sha looked coldly at the 2 disaster transformation state cultivators. It was Jin Qilong. He was already killed by that man. 1 disaster transformation state quickly said. Meng Sha asked expressionlessly, "Does Jin Qilong have a brother called Jin Shihu?" "Yes, association leader." The disaster transformation state said shakily, "Kill him." Then Meng Sha walked without even looking at the 2. The spirit rest tower waiter saw Yimo and them come and quickly came to greet them. Without Yimo asking, he led them to the best room there. "What is that heaven domain? Why is there a tunnel?" Yimo asked. "What is that heaven domain? Why is there a tunnel?" Yimo asked. Yin Jinshin quickly replied, "There was no passage before, but later there were a lot of cultivators here, so people set up 10 passages. If you wanted to go in there, you would have to go in through these passages. All of them charge you a price. The Shizhong passage is controlled by the Shizhong Merchant Association. The association leader is called Meng Sha. He's the truth realization state cultivator you fought before. Su Jingwen suddenly said, "This is like a highway pay station?" Yimo nodded. It was really like that indeed. It seemed Earth's people weren't the only ones to think of this method of earning money. Yin Yin said, "Each time, they charge 100k spirit stones per person. The competition is very high. My brother was harmed by Jin Shilong in that tunnel. Jin Shilong told him to go in and said if he couldn't get to the 10th domain, he wouldn't have to pay. If my brother couldn't pass, he would have to pay another 100k. My brother thought he would be able to go into the 10th domain, so he agreed." Yin Yin looked unhappily at Yin Jinshin and continued, "But at the time, someone followed my brother into the Heaven 36 domains. When my brother reached the 9th domain, he was suddenly ambushed. My brother quickly left the domain and survived, but we're sure that the person who ambushed my brother was Jin Shilong's friend. But even with evidence, we don't dare to do anything." She got up and bowed to Yimo. "Thank you a lot, Brother Yi." Yimo knew she meant getting revenge for Yin Jinshin. He didn't mind. The only thing he was worried about was that Su Jingwen's safety wasn't assured when he went inside the Heaven domain. He almost killed Meng Sha just then. Who knew if he would try to get revenge? Yimo thought for a moment and said to Su Jingwen, "Jingwen, how about you go back first? When I come out of the Heaven domain, I'll come find you." Tang Mingrao immediately knew what Yimo meant and asked, "How about you go first and after you come out, I'll go?" Yin Yin knew what Yimo meant and quickly said, "The Heaven domain opens every day. There are still about 6 hours till it opens. Jingwen's sister doesn't need to go back. If we go to the Heaven domain observing hall, no one will dare to do anything." "What's the observing hall?" Yimo asked in confusion. Yin Yin replied, "It's the place for cultivators to watch others' trial at the Heaven domain. There's a huge screen formation. We can't see the exact situation inside, but we can see how many people are at each domain. Then, people will start betting spirit stones. There are luxurious rooms. No one is allowed to start trouble there, or they will be killed." "Okay then, let's go there and book a luxurious room." Yimo immediately got up and said. After coming here, Yimo realized how big this was. There weren't a lot of cultivators here, but there were more than 1,000 people. Even so, this huge hall seemed quite empty. There was a huge projector formation at the top showing 36 rings. There were only a few light spots on the rings ahead. Yin Yin explained, "Those spots represent cultivators inside. If the spot disappears, it means that they came out or they were killed by the domain. If cultivators don't want to go to the next domain, they can go back a domain and will be teleported out." Yimo knew that it was free to watch here, but those luxurious rooms were very expensive. The most luxurious room costs 1 million top-grade spirit stones, but there was no time limit. The luxury came second, but the top-grade one not only had dense spirit chi, but also a top-grade defense formation. As soon as Yimo and them got up, a pretty girl greeted them. She probably knew what Yimo did and was very respectful to Yimo and them. When they went in the luxury room, they realized there was a small projector formation there. They didn't need to look at the projector formation below. Yimo set up another few defense formations before feeling assured to leave. Yin Yin stayed behind with Su Jingwen, and Yuchan Yin Jinshin took Yimo and Tang Mingrao to the entrance. Because the rooms were only for girls, Yin Zhendong went out to the hall to watch Yimo's progress. Perhaps those cultivators here knew of Yimo's power and thus, no one dared to come up to them. When they were about to enter through the Tanshang entrance, the cultivators only then dared to come greet them. After Yin Jinshin left, Yimo and Tang Mingrao paid 200k spirit stones and entered. Then, they got a good look at the Heaven domain. The Heaven domain was immersed in a gray mist. Spirit sense couldn't scan in at all. When Yimo and Tang Mingrao walked into the first domain, Yimo immediately understood the meaning of the Heaven domain. In here, space slowed down and there was a sliver of cultivation essence stirring. If the cultivators who came here couldn't defend against it, they might be killed by it. If you couldn't get used to here, your body would be torn apart. Yimo could clearly feel the direction of the cultivation essence turning. It was pretty much teaching cultivators how to control the space and air around them with cultivation essence. This was indeed a trial place. The cultivation essence movement here was at a very low level. There was no domain, it was just a field. But if body condensation states could gradually learn this and the slowing of space, their understanding of domains would deepen. Yemo was certain there would be more powerful spirit sense and cultivation essence simulated domain attacks. He couldn't wait. Yemo felt the first domain was completely useless to him. He didn't disturb Tangmengrao and went into the second domain. Yemo felt this heaven domain was a huge 8-trigram disc, and if he walked to the center of the disc, he would be at the 36th domain. There was no distinct milestone for the first and second domains, but Yemo could clearly feel the difference between the two. After taking that step, it was the second domain. Yemo exclaimed at the prodigy who built this place. This was absolutely out of this world. Just how much power and how much talent did he have to build this unimaginable cultivation place? The second domain had more fierce cultivation essence waves and greater space impediments, but it still directed cultivators to understand about the formation of fields. Yemo ignored it and just passed through the first 9 domains into the 10th. Coming here, Yemo clearly felt the confinement of space. It was very hard to walk even a step. One mistake, and that space confinement would crush you. Yemo knew this was a real domain. Before the space confinement could attack him, he attacked with Zisu. In a cracking sound, Zisu cracked the domain and an empty space appeared. Yemo could use that to go into the 10th domain, but he didn't. He closed his eyes and waited for the domain to seal shut again before hacking out. With this, Yemo nodded. Coming into the 11th domain, Yemo understood that his previous understanding of domains was very narrow. A domain wasn't just a restriction of space around the opponent, it was more importantly to bind the opponent's cultivation essence and even spirit sense. Using a domain didn't necessarily need cultivation essence and spirit sense. Once a cultivator's understanding of domain reached a certain level, his will could form a new domain. If domain was birthed with will, one could easily master state, then he would be invincible. Perhaps even a disaster transformation state level 1 would be able to kill a truth realization state cultivator. With the use of 3 birth chant, every time Yemo went into another domain he would feel different. He felt his domain was undergoing enormous change. He went into a state of enlightenment. He just kept moving forward and learning, completely forgetting the notion of time. 10th day, Tangmengrao exited from the 17th domain. She felt this was the furthest she could go. When she reached into the watching stadium, she knew Yemo was in the 23rd domain. On the 12th day, more and more people came as many of them learned someone went into the 25th domain. The last truth realization state Qianbei only reached the 26th domain and came out. On the 15th day, the huge hall was full. Countless powerful beings and top-grade cultivators rushed here. Some cultivator had reached into the 27th domain. This was a very rare record. The entire West Cultivator City went crazy now. The reason entering the 27th domain would cause such a huge commotion was because all the cultivators here knew that every 9 domains were at completely different levels. The 9th and 10th domain were completely different. So was the 18th and 19th domain. You might be fine in the 18th domain, but not even be able to last a few seconds in the 19th domain. The reason entering the 27th domain would cause such a huge commotion was because all the cultivators here knew that every 9 domains were at completely different levels. The 9th and 10th domain were completely different. So was the 18th and 19th domain. You might be fine in the 18th domain, but not even be able to last a few seconds in the 19th domain. Now, someone was in the 27th domain. Everyone wanted to know if this person could go into the 28th domain. If he did, he would be the #1 master in West Cultivator City, or the cultivator with the greatest knowledge of domains. In the history of the Heaven domain, no one had passed the 30th domain. If this man could get into the 28th domain, he might be able to challenge the 30th domain. Because of this, those cultivators flocked to the observing palace. Those luxurious rooms were filled. Even those famous cultivators in the city had to squeeze in one room with some people. There was one top-grade room that no one wanted to squeeze in. It was said there were 4 cultivators inside, and all-female cultivator too. However, no one dared to go in. Even the Vice City Lord Luo Yujian didn't ask to go in. Everyone knew that the girls inside were the family of that cultivator. Who would risk disturbing the family and friends of a cultivator who could go into the Heaven Domain's 27th domain? There was also news that this cultivator almost killed Shizhong Merchant Association's association leader Meng Sha before he went in. Eventually, the story became that the cultivator didn't even raise his hand and just used his cultivation essence to form a purple cultivation essence sword that heavily injured Meng Sha. Meng Sha was one of the 10 big powerful people in Heaven Domain. Just who was this being who could heavily injure him without moving his hand? This was beyond their imagination. Su Jingwen began to worry seeing all these cultivators flock here. She thought that even with restrictions, their room wouldn't be able to stop all these powerful cultivators. Luckily, they worried too much. No one dared to come to their room or even knock. Tang Mingrao breathed easy. In North Far State, she was one of the big 3, but here she couldn't even be ranked. The 2 managers from the Shizhong Merchant Association were more powerful than her. There were countless cultivators who could kill her here. She felt ashamed to be called one of the big 3 in North Far State now. There were still more and more people coming. Everyone wanted to go watch inside. Eventually, the powerful beings here set up a transfer projection formation and finally eased up the squeeze. Cultivators had spirit sense, and so even if they weren't in the Heaven Domain square, their spirit sense could see the progress on the screen. There was no projection formation at the square, but for Yimo, a huge projection formation was set up. Meng Sha was very worried now. He realized how dumb he was. He had annoyed a powerful cultivator like Yimo. If he had another chance, he would rather be a coward than try to show his power. It wasn't really losing face now, as it wasn't embarrassing losing to a powerful being who could reach the 27th domain. He was worried that powerful being would come out and look for his trouble. If that was the case, he would have nowhere to hide. He had a few truth realization state friends, but who would be willing to fight against this powerful being for him? Even he wouldn't himself. He sighed and could only sit down and yield to fate. His foundation was here. He couldn't leave it all. When Yimo entered the 27th domain, he immediately felt that the space around him seemed to have turned into a swamp that he had sunk into. There were sharp sword rays everywhere in this swamp. One slight error, and he would be ripped and crushed. The space seemed to be constantly contorting, and he couldn't capture that rhythm. His domain quickly broke and shattered in this constantly changing space. That contorting space made Yimo feel this was space disposition, not domain. But the next moment, he realized this was definitely no space disposition. This was still a type of domain. Luckily, those sword rays and the swamp didn't mix together so he could struggle. Instantly, he formed his domain again. He wouldn't have been able to survive here if he didn't gain a new understanding of domain after passing the 26th domain. As soon as his domain formed, it was crushed again, but Yimo tried relentlessly. If it was some other cultivator, he might have retreated into the 26th domain. In fact, Yimo knew too that he could use Illusion Cloud Domain Shatter Strike to hack open the domain so he could go into the 28th domain. But that way, he wouldn't be able to learn anything. In here, he had the time to attack, but in the 28th domain, he wouldn't even be able to use an attack. He also knew that every 9 domains represented a completely different level, so the 28th domain would be countless times more powerful than the 27th domain. Time passed as Yimo's domain kept getting crushed and reformed. As time went on, Yimo's domain could last longer and longer until it could completely defend against the domain here. But Yimo didn't go into the 28th domain now. He would rather go back to the 26th domain if he didn't have the confidence. Cultivation was important, but so was his life. So when his domain could completely defend against 27th domain, he started to expand out and attack. This idea came from the lightning sword. He learned his lightning sword by attacking the divine damnation with lightning. The method he used now was to use his own domain to attack the domain in here and feel the cultivation essence motion inside to improve his own domain. Time went on and he could completely defend against the domain here and walk freely without trouble. However, he still couldn't attack the domain around him. Yimo didn't give up like this. How could he go to the 28th domain if he couldn't fight back against the 27th domain? When you fought someone, it wasn't enough just to block the opponent's domain. You needed to break your opponent's domain. He used Illusion Cloud Domain Shatter Strike to do this before, but now he wanted to use his own domain to tear apart the space around him. If he learned how to do this, his domain would immediately be near great completion. Even if he fought Truth Realization State Tertiary Stage Masters, he might be able to win. There was heated discussion inside and outside the Heaven Domain Square because EMO had stayed in the 27th domain for more than 3 days. According to his past progress, he wouldn't stay in one for more than 1 day. Soon, a new round of betting opened up. One side bet EMO could enter the 28th domain. The other side said he would leave from the 27th domain. He realized now that only now was his domain truly in initial completion. The domain he previously thought was in initial completion wasn't even the beginning. Not just him, but probably more than 90% of cultivators weren't even beginners in domain. However, EMO felt suspicious of this place. Theoretically, this was a trial ground. It shouldn't be misleading cultivators like this. If he didn't have 3 birth chant, even if he passed the 36th domain, he wouldn't be able to truly understand the notion of domains. EMO wouldn't believe that the powerful being who set this place up was intentionally trying to mislead people. One explanation was that powerful cultivator didn't understand domains either, but then EMO shook his head. If the person didn't understand domains, how could he set up this huge Heaven 36 domains? Plus, this place was indeed very helpful for cultivating domain. Even a fake domain was better than not understanding domain at all. Now that EMO could easily break the domain here, he went into the 28th domain. Immediately, he felt like there were sharp beams pointing at him. The stir in space here was completely different than the 27th domain. In the 27th domain, space was space and the sword rays were sword rays. They were separate, allowing you to dodge them. But in the 28th domain, they were fused together. It was as though the place he was at wasn't space, but a place formed with countless pin-sized killing chi. It was present no matter where he went. The space distortions were more than 10 times stronger than the 27th domain. EMO took a cold breath in. This was no trial grounds but a slaughterhouse. If he didn't truly understand domains, he would be instantly killed the moment he came in here. He wouldn't even have the time to go into the golden page world. Even a truth realization state peak stage cultivator wouldn't be able to survive in the pinpoint space. The domain previously learned was completely useless here. Even if you formed your domain, it wouldn't last 1/100th of a second. EMO didn't expect the difference to be this huge. Luckily, he knew what true domain was and instantly formed his domain. When the killing chi space pressured him, EMO's cultivation essence wind blades and spirit sense blades also swept out. With a thud, EMO's domain was crushed, but he also stopped the attack of this space. EMO didn't continue trying to learn the space domain here. He felt this domain wasn't suitable for him, it wasn't right. But the space attack and mock domain attack was very good for him. He could use this opportunity to refine his newly learned domain. The cultivators watching saw that Spot had went into the 28th domain. There were shouts of joy for those who bet EMO was going into 28th domain, but sighs from cultivators who lost. When Su Jingwen saw the dot finally go into the 28th domain, she breathed easy, but then immediately stared at the spot nervously. West Cultivator City, Exian Cultivator Association. That middle-aged man who previously didn't care if EMO joined the Exian Cultivator Association now frowned. After a while he asked, "You said that cultivator left here and went to the Heaven domain, and is now in the 27th domain?" The fatter cultivator in front of him just wanted to talk, but his communication bead lit up. He scanned with his spirit sense and immediately answered, "Yes, association leader. But the news we just received is that he's in the 28th domain now." That association leader got up immediately, and his face seemed a little strange. He walked a few steps and said, "I'm going there immediately." Then he said, "Jiliang, tell Elder Gong to prepare some gifts. If that cultivator comes out, we need to greet him immediately." Association leader, what level or gift should we prepare? Jiliang asked. The middle-aged man hesitated and said, "For someone like him, he won't take ordinary gifts seriously." He hesitated and said, Bring that low-grade immortal artifact. Only something like that can touch him. Ji Liang was dazed. But association leader, that's the only immortal artifact we have. It's the sect guarding. The association leader waved his hand. We were already rude to him by just sending a green-robed messenger. If we do it again, this person will look down on us. A low-grade immortal artifact is precious, but if we can pull a 28th domain powerful being to join us, it would be very worth it.
Yes.
Ji Liang agreed. Crack EMO didn't use Zisu nor Illusion Cloud Domain Shatterstrike, but his domain had Cultivation Essence Windblades now. After countless trials, his domain finally shattered the simulated domain. EMO realized that if he kept moving forward like this, his domain might really reach great completion by the 36th domain. He's entered the 29th domain. He's entered the 29th domain. The cultivators inside the Observe Palace exploded again. That spot went into 28th domain and just stayed for one day before going into the 29th domain. What shook them even more was that the spot stayed there for one day again and went into the 30th domain. EMO went into the 30th domain in such a short time. The odds began to fall. At the 30th domain, EMO completely ignored the special pressure and binding that could instantly kill truth realization state cultivators. He even closed his eyes. After the 28th domain, he completely understood domain binding and attack. He was slowly combining his understanding of state and domain. Once he combined these two, EMO felt this domain would have a skyrocketing increase in power. The conditions in the 30th domain were many times worse than the 28th domain. If he didn't have a completely different understanding of domain, he would be torn apart instantly even if his original domain was in great completion. EMO shook his head. After the 27th domain, this place was completely a slaughterhouse. It was impossible to even stay alive, much less learn domains in here. No wonder rarely anyone kept going after the 30th domain. EMO began to progress faster and faster. On the 23rd day, he went into the 31st domain. On the 24th day, he went into the 32 RD domain. The betting completely stopped. Now, the Spirit Stones betting that EMO would go into the 36th domain were enough to buy half the entire Heaven domain region. Although the Heaven domain region really wanted EMO to come out now, there was nothing they could do. Su Jingwen saw that EMO was faster and faster and finally breathed easy and relaxed. On the 28th day, EMO went into the 35th domain. According to EMO's idea, the 35th domain should have even more intense space distortions. He came in here and immediately expanded his domain, but what shook him was there was no movement nor space ripples here. It was just an ordinary place. EMO reached his spirit sense out and found this place was indeed an empty domain. He shook his head. He just wanted to go into the 36th domain, but he felt something was wrong. There seemed to be a stealth formation here. If he wasn't a level 9 formation grandmaster, he wouldn't be able to see this at all. But even so, there was nothing he could do. The formation heart wasn't here. If he knew where the formation heart was, he would be able to go in. EMO ignored this irrelevant formation and went into the 36th domain. As soon as he came in, he felt this place was different than the domains before. There were space bindings and space distortions, and the killing intent was strong too, but EMO felt this was the real domain. Feeling the difference and similarities, EMO frowned. Was it that for other cultivators, only the 36th domain was the place they could understand domain? But only in this place could he truly combine his state and domain. The news of EMO going into the 36th domain spread like wildfire. Some cultivators who weren't in West Cultivator City even got the news. An absurd cultivator appeared in West Cultivator City, going into the 36th domain in 30 days. At this moment, cultivators didn't come to watch the projection formation, but to see who this cultivator who was first in history to get into the 36th domain was. Su Jingwen got up in joy. She thought EMO would be coming out immediately. However, it was Yin Yin and Yu Chan who were the happiest. Tang Mingrao asked casually, "Which one did you bet on?" Yu Chan said happily, "I bet 1 million that Martial Uncle you would get into the 36th domain." Sister Yin bet 200K as well. Sister Jingwen bet the most. There were 10 million spirit stones in there, and I bet them all on the 36th domain. What? Even Su Jingwen was dazed. 10 million on a 1-to-100 odds? She would get 1 billion spirit stones. Even Yimo never had this many spirit stones. Just when Su Jingwen wanted to speak, she saw the spot disappear from the screen. With a rumble, a purple ray flashed. This was the first time Yimo used Zisu since the 28th domain. Zisu hacked out, and the illusion cloud domain shatter strike clashed with the surrounding space. He felt the space binding around him lighten. Yimo wiped some sweat. He thought this was all there was, but just when he fending off against the domain pressure, the space binding rapidly changed. The domain attack also changed completely. In such a short time, Yimo wasn't able to form his shattered domain again, so he could only hack out with Zisu. However, this strike only cracked open one crevice in the domain. Without that strike, Yimo wouldn't even be able to retreat. He was ambushed by the 36 domains. Yimo was shook, but he was more joyful. He finally found how to combine domain and state. At the same time, he learned another means of domain. It was right of him to come here indeed. After Zisu brought about that crack, he quickly reformed his domain again. This time, he was ready. In the battle, Yimo learned more and more. The 36th domain was truly the place to learn domain. Eventually, Yimo could control the power of the domain. In his will, the domain changed in size direction. With a long howl, Yimo didn't even need to move his hand, and his domain expanded out. The surrounding space cracked again, and this moment of enlightenment came into his mind. Yimo knew his domain was in great completion. This was the real domain. At this moment, Yimo controlled the expansion of his domain, and the powerful space domain crippled like glass. Yimo was very happy. He didn't know why there would be this misleading thing in here, but that wasn't important. He didn't need to stay here anymore. Yimo knew in order to leave, he just needed to go back. Yimo turned to the 35th domain, but when he was there at the door, he found that the 35th domain completely disappeared. He couldn't feel the 35th domain anymore. Yimo frowned. There was only one possibility. It was caused by that formation. Yimo turned back. The heart of the formation wasn't in the 35th domain. It might be in the 36th domain. Yimo walked for a moment and came to the end of the 36th domain. Yimo didn't find any formation heart, but a new formation world appeared before him. Was there a 37th domain? Yimo didn't understand, but even if there was 37th domain, he wasn't scared. As soon as he came in, he didn't even have time to scan his spirit sense out, and he was covered in wounds. This terrifying killing intent wasn't something a cultivator of the cultivation realm could defend against. He went into his golden page world without hesitation. If he hesitated for a moment, he would die. As soon as Yimo got in the golden page world, blood shot out like arrows. Even Shadowless flew over, worriedly buzzing. As soon as Yimo got in the golden page world, blood shot out like arrows. Even Shadowless flew over, worriedly buzzing. Yimo ate a few pills before stopping the bleeding. 4 hours later, Yimo took off the broken cultivation artifact armor and washed himself. The most serious injury almost sliced his arm off. Yimo rejoiced. If it was sliced off, he wouldn't be able to get it back for sure. If he was just 10 milliseconds slower, he would be dead. This 37th domain wasn't a domain. It was a place to kill. Yimo was sure that any master from the cultivation realm who came would be dead for sure. There were some serious problems with this place. This place seemed to attract high-level cultivators here. The more powerful and the more talented cultivators were, the more easily they were killed here. This was because the more powerful you were, the greater understanding you had of domain, and thus you could go further. Thinking about this, Yimo shivered. According to this train of thought, Heaven 36 domain was set up just to kill prodigies. Why was it so? One day later, Yimo recovered and thought about this place carefully. The instant he came here, his domain was shattered by the space here, and his body was bound by the space. If it wasn't that his domain was in great completion, he would have been dead already. The brief instant that his domain stopped, that binding allowed him to escape. Almost every inch of the space had fierce killing intent that was as powerful as a truth realization state, tertiary stage cultivator's full-powered attack. Who could block this entire space filled with killing intent? Even if Chu Jiyu was here, he would be dead for sure. Even a cultivator who could rip open space wouldn't be able to get away in such a short time. Only immortals could escape. But would immortals come here? The more he thought about it, the greater Yemo's fright. Which bastard was this? He was so bleak. Yemo threw out a surveillance formation outside and saw an extremely terrifying space. Dense killing force hung densely in the air. Yemo knew that if any life came here, the killing intent would be triggered. This killing force existed in the form of light. Just how powerful space attack formation means were needed to set this up. How much spirit power was needed to power this? But soon, Yemo found that these killing force were just the tip of the iceberg. In this space, there were waves of space distortions. They were clearly invisible and an extreme type of space kill formation. Just these space ripples were enough to tear apart any cultivator. In the past 36 domains, the space distortions, pressure, and pulling weren't completely formed, so his domain could stop them. But here, they were all formed. This was just the killing force he could see. Just how much more invisible killing force existed here? Yemo didn't dare to imagine. In order to see more, Yemo threw out a few formation surveillance formations. They had no life force and thus weren't attacked. Yemo carefully moved his golden page world while throwing out surveillance formation. He really wanted to go back to the 36th domain, but it had also disappeared. His control of golden page world wasn't perfect, and thus he couldn't move rapidly. When the gold spot representing Yemo finally disappeared, the square and observer hall exploded. Many people thought Yemo was teleported out, but moments later, they knew Yemo wasn't teleported out. Thus, there was only one possibility. This cultivator was killed. Sighs of pity and happiness sounded. It wasn't good news that a cultivator like this died, but it wasn't bad news for some of these power factions here. The happiest was Meng Sha. He eased up and wiped his sweat. At the same time, he thought of Yemo's family and friends. Cruel glances beamed in his eyes. This man dared to insult him. Now that he was dead, how could he let go of the people who came with him? He has never lost so much face before. In Su Jingwen's room, she thought that Yemo came out after the spot disappeared, but after a long while, she didn't see Yemo come for her. She felt something was wrong. Soon, there was news that Yemo died there. Even though Su Jingwen was nascent soul state level 7, she felt dizzy. Tang Mingrao quickly held her. She wanted to persuade Su Jingwen that Yemo might not be in trouble, but even she knew that Yemo was certainly in trouble. Seeing this, Yin came to comfort her. Sister Jingwen, why don't we wait for Yemo at the entrance of the heaven domain? Su Jingwen shook her head. I agreed to Yemo to not leave unless he came. Now that he isn't here, I'm not going to leave. I will wait for him here. Yin hesitated, but Tang Mingrao nodded. Jingwen is right, we can't leave. This room has no time limit. If we leave here, we'll be in danger. Yin wasn't dumb and almost immediately realized what Tang Mingrao meant. Everyone fell silent. No one wanted to talk at this moment. 3 days later, the place calmed down again. Those cultivators came and left quickly. It was of course very significant to reach the 36th domain. But so what if he didn't come out? No one cared about a dead cultivator. Yuchan worried about Yemo, but she was also worried about the spirit stones. No one spoke of the spirit stones, and she didn't dare to ask. It was as though they forgot people and here had bet. It was the 6th day, and Yin was talking with Su Jingwen when her face changed. She was about to rush out, but Tang Mingrao stopped her. Don't rush. Your brother is in the observing palace. That man won't dare to do anything to him. At the door to the observing palace, Yin Jinshin, who only had an arm and was covered in blood, rushed in. Before he could go upstairs, however, someone stopped him. The observing palace forbids fighting, but it's not a place for cultivators to avoid danger. Yin Jinshin ignored this cultivator and yelled to the 2nd floor. Don't leave here. Shizhong Merchant Association is waiting. They want to capture Brother Ye's wife. Yin Jindong, who was at the 1st level, quickly held Yin Jinshin and said with red eyes, It is the Shizhong Merchant Association. The cultivator ignored Yin Jindong and said to Yin Zihanshin again, "Please leave. No fighting cultivators are allowed in here." "Let him in. We have the most luxurious room air. Why can't he come in? Is there some limit on the number of people who can come in?" Su Jingwen walked out asking coldly. "Let him in. We have the most luxurious room air. Why can't he come in? Is there some limit on the number of people who can come in?" Su Jingwen walked out asking coldly. That guard looked at Su Jingwen and then the luxurious room behind her and thought for a while before moving aside. Seeing this, Yin Jindong quickly helped his brother up. The two pursuers of Yin Jinshin looked coldly at him and then Su Jingwen and Tang Mengrao before sending news with their communication beads. Those cultivators outside just saw Su Jingwen and exclaimed, "That cultivator's wife was so pretty. Jinshin, who did it? Is it Shizhong Merchant Association?" Yin Yin looked at the broken arm and asked angrily. Before Yin Jinshin said anything, a cultivator outside the hall doors said coldly, "You're right. It is the Shizhong Merchant Association. How can those who offended us roam freely?" Then, Yin Yin saw the cultivator at the door. It was Meng Sha. Meng Sha saw Su Jingwen, who wasn't in the room, and suddenly grabbed at her. But his attack was immediately dispersed by another cultivation essence giant hand. Meng Sha saw a cultivator walk out of a room and saluted with his fists. "Luo Vice City Lord, why are you doing this? They're just a few insects without backing." Luo Yujian was Truth Realization State Level 2, a little lower than Meng Sha. Luo Yujian smiled calmly. "I admire the cultivator who went into the 36th domain. Plus this is the observing palace. Do you not know people can't fight here?" Meng Sha's face looked bad. "Even the palace lord didn't come out to stop me, yet you do. It's very astounding that you stayed here till now." Luo Yujian said slowly, "You can ask the palace lord. If he allows fighting here, then pretend I said nothing, and you can do what you want." Meng Sha's tone calmed down. "In that case, I'll give you some face, but I wonder how long you can stay here for?" Su Jingwen knew now wasn't the time to stay outside, so she quickly ran inside the room. Even a cultivation essence giant hand wouldn't be able to reach in. She thanked Luo Yujian and went inside before sealing the formation. Luo Yujian saw this and said, "I'm going now, but are you going to attack the room? If you do, I won't intervene." Then, Luo Yujian walked out and disappeared. Meng Sha glared coldly at Su Jingwen's room but didn't keep attacking. He said something to the two pursuers of Yin Jinshin and left. The two stayed at the door and didn't leave. Yimo stopped now. He saw a skeleton in the surveillance formation. The skeleton sat by a dried-up pond. There seemed to be some formation marks in the pond. The means were extremely advanced, but they weren't purposely hidden. Yimo saw that the endless killing chi here was caused by the space kill formation. After watching carefully, Yimo saw that there wasn't just one formation inside the pond. They were all very high-level space kill formations. Yimo knew he didn't have the ability to set up such formations yet. Soon, Yimo saw that there were two extreme-grade spirit range supplying the spirit power. These two supplies were separate, and they were part of an exchanging formation. The power supply would switch to another spirit range after a period of time. This way, the spirit range could digest more spirit chi and thus, even after countless years, the space kill formation wouldn't be ineffective due to lack of spirit chi, but there was a flaw in this. The instant during the rotation of power supply, the space kill formation would pause momentarily. It was very brief but very hard to grasp. That person had to be at least a top-grade formation grandmaster and be watching here constantly. Yimo knew if he could grasp this time, he could damage the unprotected formation heart instantly. Yimo started to calculate the period of spirit range rotation. The time he calculated scared him. It was 49 years for every rotation. Did he have to wait for 49 years here? He calculated more and got the result that the last rotation was 40 years ago. This meant he needed 9 years. He couldn't even wait for 9 months. In this formation, he could only stay in the golden page world. He wasn't able to break it. Yimo turned his eyes to the skeleton beside the pond. The head was looking down. Even in the golden page world, Emo could feel the power and loneliness of this skeleton. Emo sighed. Perhaps this person came to the 36 domains like him. He didn't have the golden page world and was a very significant cultivator to be able to reach here. It was a pity he wasn't able to leave. Emo felt sympathy for this person. Emo collected his feelings and then saw a jade slip next to the skeleton. Emo moved the golden page world over and used a whole day before he took off the jade slip and the storage ring. Emo scanned with spirit sense and saw there were just a few words. North Far State's Chu Xiaoyi was tricked at Heaven Domain. This domain is a trap. Chu Xiaoyi from North Far State? Emo had never heard of this name, but Emo knew since this cultivator could come here, this person must be very powerful, perhaps even more powerful than Chu Jiyu. But this person wasn't famous. One could see there were powerful people all over the ancient cultivation realm. After removing the restrictions in the storage ring, Emo saw at first glance that there were 7 immortal crystals. They were exactly the same as the ones he got in the All-Herb Mountain range. Seeing this, Emo took them immediately without noticing the 9-chipped key next to them. What time difference would be created using these 7 immortal crystals? Emo made a timer with sand in a glass and put it outside the time formation disk. Then he put the 7 immortal crystals into the time formation disk without hesitation. They fit perfectly inside. The instant the time formation disk was activated, it ran crazy fast. Emo couldn't feel the time formation disk inside it. He quickly closed his eyes and started cultivation. Emo felt slivers of immortal chi seeping out mixed with the spirit chi from the extreme grade spirit range. It was extremely comfortable, and he felt his power was increasing rapidly. Emo felt slivers of immortal chi seeping out mixed with the spirit chi from the extreme grade spirit range. It was extremely comfortable, and he felt his power was increasing rapidly. When Emo felt the cultivation essence in his body rumble and the meridians broaden even more, he couldn't help letting out a howl. He was disaster transformation state level 7. Emo rejoiced feeling the powerful and rolling, thunder-like cultivation essence in his body. Emo forgot he was just testing the time formation disk and was shook. He forgot about time and cultivation. Thinking about this, Emo quickly stopped the time formation disk and left. He had been inside the time formation disk for 3 months, but the one-day timer still had some sand inside. The ratio was around 100 to 1. This was far greater than 12 to 1 using extreme grade spirit range. Emo quickly checked the 7 immortal crystals. It was a pity that the immortal crystals dimmed down around after just using them for 3 months' time. If he used these immortal crystals for cultivation, then he would be able to reach truth realization state middle stage for sure with truth carrot pill. But Emo knew that he had to use them. He just hoped there would still be some left after using them in the time formation disk for 9 years. If he didn't have concerns, he would really want to cultivate here for 9 years. But Su Jingguin and them were waiting for him in the observing palace. Emo controlled the golden page world to come to near the formation heart and threw in the time formation disk. The time formation disk landed perfectly, and then Emo activated the time formation disk with formation flags. After the formation was activated, Emo couldn't see the time formation disk anymore. He saw the time formation disk blur. According to his calculations, since the ratio was 1 to 100, he would need to wait about 32 days outside before the power supply would change. He would stop on the 31st day in case he missed the rotation. Seeing so much immortal chi being wasted, Emo's heart was aching. But he knew this was the only way out. The time formation disk kept running, but Emo picked up Chu Xiaoyi's storage ring and looked at the 9-chip key. It was exactly the same as the one he got before. The only difference was it was in much better shape. It was a pity he used the other one, or he would be able to compare the two. He got the 9-chip key and suddenly thought of that Shui Yufeng. He cursed Chu for not keeping the promise. That person was probably Chu Xiaoyi. He thought that it was Chu Jiyu, but now it seemed he was wrong. If the person who sealed the formation was really Chu Xiaoyi, then it was easy to explain why he never went back. Chu Xiaoyi sealed that space-devouring monster. Clearly, he was a cultivator with morals. Yet someone like that died here. It made Yemo feel sad. In his death, Chu Xiaoyi realized that this place was a trap. It tricked prodigies in here to kill them. Yemo realized that his feeling wasn't wrong before. This place indeed intentionally misled the cultivators here. Even if it wasn't a prodigy and he left before the 28th domain, he wouldn't be able to get a real understanding of domain. This place for killing human prodigies clearly wasn't set up by human cultivators. Yemo shook his head and placed the 9-chip fork on the side before looking at the other things in the storage ring. There were very few spirit stones, but there were some spirit crystals. They were all high level. However, all the pills and spirit herbs had turned gray. There were some cultivation artifacts. Chu Xiaoyi had so many immortal crystals and used them to seal another terrifying being, yet he really didn't have much in his storage ring. There was a pure white jade box on the side. Yemo saw half a necklace. It was just a low-grade spirit artifact, but it was the best kept. Yemo immediately knew that this necklace must have had a special meaning to Chu Xiaoyi. Yemo didn't touch it and sealed the jade box. Yemo had decided to bring back Chu Xiaoyi's remains when he came out back to the North Far State. Chu Xiaoyi's last words put North Far State at the front. Clearly, he wanted to go back there. There was such a powerful cultivator in the history of North Far State, but he had never heard of him. Yemo shook his head and carefully put away Chu Xiaoyi's storage ring. He didn't touch anything else inside. He took the 7 immortal crystals to save his life, but as for other things, Yemo wasn't going to take them even if there were immortal crystals. He took Chu Xiaoyi's remains and put the storage ring back on his finger again. Yemo had a deep respect for Chu Xiaoyi, who sealed off the space-devouring demon. In the remaining time, Yemo didn't cultivate but watched the time carefully. A month passed quickly in cultivation, but it was passing very slowly watching the timer. No matter how slow, Yemo didn't dare to get distracted at all. He only had one chance. At the beginning of the 31st day, Yemo took out formation flags, watching the surveillance formation constantly. He would stop the time formation disk immediately on the 31st day. Just when it was time, Yemo suddenly paused. He found that his time formation disk stopped running. He didn't even throw out his formation flags. What was going on? The next moment, Yemo saw the 7 immortal crystals in the time formation disk turn to dust. The immortal crystals were gone. Yemo's mouth was bitter. 7 immortal crystals, he wasted them all on the time formation disk, which he didn't even use to cultivate. Yemo hated the guy who set this domain up. He would kill that bastard if he could. Yemo didn't even dare to calculate how much time was left, as he was scared that the time would pass the moment he was calculating. Yemo didn't even blink his eyes and looked at the space kill formation. He was holding tins of formation flags tightly in one hand while his other hand held Zisu. 1 day passed, but nothing moved. 2 days, 3 days, 11 days, still nothing. On the 12th day, Yemo's eyes were sore. Not blinking and staring at one place for 12 days, that was uncomfortable even for disaster transformation state cultivators. Just when Yemo was considering whether he should calculate the time, he saw the space kill formation seem to pause for a moment. Without hesitation, Yemo dashed out of the golden page world. Yemo dashed out immediately. He was ready to go back to the golden page world instantly if he was going to get killed. Getting injured was better than losing his life. Yemo dashed out immediately. He was ready to go back to the golden page world instantly if he was going to get killed. Getting injured was better than losing his life. The moment Yemo dashed out, he knew he succeeded. There were no space attacks. Other than the space binding and pressure, the terrifying death beams didn't move. It meant his judgment was right. The greatest threat, the space kill formation, didn't move during the exchange of spirit power. For Yemo, it was fine as long as the space kill formation didn't move. His domain was in great completion, so the space pressure and distortion didn't stop him at all. He expanded his domain out, and they all dissipated like clouds. Yemo instantly threw out tins of formation flags when he left the golden page world and released Zisu. A purple shadow sliced across the air into the formation heart. At the same time, tins of lightning swords hit the same place. He threw out formation flags to delay the space kill formation. The goal was to buy him some extra time. Rumble, 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 rumble. Zissou hacked the formation heart, and there was a huge explosion. Before the crack could self-repair, the arm-sized lightning swords landed on the formation heart. Before the rumbling sound died down, Emo rained down 10 more lightning swords. Soon, the formation heart turned to dust. Hearing a crack, Emo knew the spirit power supply had finished rotating. But so what? He had already broken the formation heart of the space kill formation. There were just simulated space distortions here, while the space death rays and ripples started to dissipate. Emo wiped the sweat from his head. He didn't expect the formation heart to be this tough even without defenses. If he didn't use the lightning sword for assurance, the power supply exchange would have finished before he broke the formation heart. If this was really the case, then he would have to run back to the Golden Page world. Luckily, he was very careful and completely disintegrated the formation heart to dust. However, there were still many formation hearts in the bottom of the pond, including formation binding, domain simulation. Emo didn't touch the attack formations from 28th to 36th domain. He took out a jade box and put Chu Xiaoi's remains inside and left it in the Golden Page world. After doing this, Emo saw a broken shard below Chu Xiaoi. He probably used this to block the space kill formation before, but now it was torn to pieces. Emo stood at the pond and looked coldly at all the formation hearts inside. With his formation skills, he could completely remove them all, but Emo didn't do this. He wanted to do it the most satisfying way, using lightning sword. Rumble, 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 black lightning landed inside the pond non-stop. Moments later, the air above the pond was covered in black lightning swords. The more lightning swords Emo used, the more he felt satisfied. The most respectful way for a formation grandmaster to break another formation grandmaster's formation was to use his own formation skills without damaging the formation. The most coarse way was to damage it with attacking means, making the formation unable to work. The most insulting way was to smash the formation to pieces. Emo was doing this the most insulting way. He didn't look at the formation heart and just sent lightning sword down. He even let out a recording crystal, recording the whole process. He knew it was hard to meet the guy who set the formations up, but if he did, he would show him this crystal ball. As he smashed the formation at the bottom of the pond to pieces, the space distortions and domain also disappeared. Eventually, this area of space turned into an ordinary place. But even so, Emo kept using lightning sword until he blasted the bottom of the pond to pieces. There wasn't even half a formation flag left before Emo stopped to breathe. Now, the first 27 domains weren't damaged, but starting from 28th domain, there was nothing left. Even so, Emo didn't stop here. He shot out tens of formation flags, and 15 minutes later, Emo pulled out a huge spirit range from under the ground. This was an extreme-grade spirit range. Another 15 minutes later, he pulled out another spirit range. After putting 2 extreme-grade spirit range into his Golden Page world, Emo finally felt comfortable. Now, he stopped that recording crystal. Just thinking about how angry this cultivator would be when he saw the crystal ball, Emo felt very good. Emo went back to the intersection between 36th and 37th domain. The 36th domain appeared again, but Emo wasn't teleported out. He came to the 35th domain. This place became an ordinary place. Emo knew he had to go back to the 27th domain to be teleported out. Emo lost the interest to find the first 27 domain space formations. It misled cultivators, but was still a trial place. He didn't need to damage it. Not everyone could learn domain. Sometimes using cultivation essence to form domain wasn't necessarily bad. In the Observer Palace, Su Jingwen had cried a few times already. Emo had disappeared for nearly 2 months. If she couldn't wait for Emo to appear, she would rather die here than be in the hands of Shizhong Merchant Association. Su Jingwen was planning to wait a full year, but in just 2 months, the Observer Palace told Su Jingwen and them that they had to leave. The reason was simple. In case someone else was to reach 28th domain, there were too few rooms, so they needed to reorganize and build more rooms. Their rooms need to be rebuilt, so they had to leave here. Impossible. Hearing this news, Yin Yin was furious. Observer Palace has been here for a few hundred years, but it has never been replanned. How come we've just come here for 3 months and it's being replanned? It must be due to the Shizhong Merchant Association. Tang Mingrao frowned. The Observer Palace clearly isn't weaker than Shizhong Merchant Association. Why would they be afraid of them? Su Jingwen had calmed down from her sadness of Yimo's disappearance. She hadn't been in the cultivation realm for long, but in Ninghai City, she was managing a big corporation and knew of the battles. She felt the Observer Palace didn't need to ruin their reputation for the Shizhong Merchant Association. She thought for a moment and asked, was it the Observer Palace who hosted the betting? Chapter 1299. What do you dare to do? Chapter 1299. What do you dare to do? Yin Yin still didn't react, but hearing Su Jingwen ask this, she subconsciously answered, yes, these big stakes are usually held by the Observer Palace itself. Yin Yin immediately said in shock, Sister Jingwen, you're saying we won too many spirit stones from them and thus they? Su Jingwen nodded. It should be right. When Yimo was at the 27th domain, the stakes were 1 to 100 for Yimo getting into the 36th domain. I'm sure we're the only people who bet Yimo would be able to get in. Did they lower the odds when Yimo went into the 28th domain? Yuchan quickly said, yes, Sister Jingwen. As soon as Martial Uncle Yi went into the 28th domain, the odds dropped to 1 to 8. Su Jingwen nodded. We bet the 1 to 100 and I bet 10 million top-grade spirit stones. If they paid us, they would have to pay 1 billion spirit stones. No matter how big the Merchant Association, it would hurt them greatly. This would be half, or even more of their assets. Tang Mingrao nodded. That should be it. If we leave the Observer Palace, the Shizhong Merchant Association wouldn't let us go and Jingwen won't be able to live to see another day. There is no way the Observer Palace will pay us the spirit stones. No reputation is worth 1 billion spirit stones. Then what should we do? Yuchan held the 2 betting cards. These 2 cards had never left her hand. Su Jingwen frowned. It was death to go out, but they had to do so. That city lord Luo Yujian just casually helped them. He couldn't be helping all the time. They could only rely on themselves now. Suddenly, there was a wave of laughter outside the palace. Palace Lord Yu wants to rebuild the Observer Palace. The Shizhong Merchant Association decides to support with 3 million spirit stones. The girl in the first room is not bad, huh? There was a soft voice. Thank you, Association Leader Ming. The rest of the things has nothing to do with the Observer Palace. We need to rearrange this place. It has nothing to do with you. Association Leader Ming, I won't be staying for long. No problem, haha. Ming Sha didn't seem annoyed at all. When Yimo came to the 27th domain, he felt his body become lighter. He looked up, and he was already at the place he came in the domains from. The girl who stayed at the Observer Palace is in trouble now. There's no way Association Leader Ming will let her go. One body condensation state didn't even finish his sentence, and he stopped because he saw Yimo who suddenly appeared. Then, he stuttered, Qianbei, you're fine. Yimo frowned and said coldly, don't give me bullshit. What did you mean? The other body condensation state was also shocked but smarter. He quickly bowed and said, Qianbei, after you went into the 36th domain, your dot disappeared. Then, people outside said you died, so that Meng Sha is going to look for trouble with your wife. He tried but was stopped by Vice City Lord Luo. Now, the Observer Palace is going to be reorganized, so they requested your family and friends to leave within a time, or they would be kicked out. Before he finished, Yimo had disappeared. This body condensation state wiped his head before looking around carefully. Shizhong Merchant Association is finished. Meng Sha is done for. Observer Palace. The first body condensation state reacted quicker this time and quickly pulled the other body condensation state cultivator. Let's go quickly and watch the truth realization state battle. Then, he ran off first. In the Observer Palace, Palace Lord Yu stood at the door and said to Su Jingwen and them coldly, the Observer Palace is going to be reorganized. Everyone else has left. You have half an hour. If you don't leave, I will forcefully send you away. What right do you have to tell us to go? I paid spirit stones. This room has no time restriction, Su Jingwen said coldly. Palace Lord Yu said in contempt, there are no more cultivators in the heaven domains. You're staying here to hide from your enemies. Do we have to wait for you to be done with hiding before we reorganize our palace? You have to leave no matter what. Yu Zhongtong, don't have time to talk with irrelevant people. You have 15 minutes left. This time, before Su Jingwen could speak, an icy cold voice sounded. What if I don't want to go? What do you dare to do? Yu Zhongtong turned around to see the cold-faced Yimo. He had never seen Yimo before, but Yimo came here silently without him noticing at all. But Meng Sha was dazed and asked in shock, You're not dead? He felt his mind go blank. Yimo wasn't dead. What was going on? If Yimo wasn't dead, it meant he had to die. He brought this on himself. The first time Yimo didn't kill him, but yet he had to cause trouble again. Yimo. Su Jingwen flew into Yimo's arms as soon as she saw him. The helplessness disappeared. Woo-woo, I knew you were fine. I knew it. Tears flew out of her eyes uncontrollably. If possible, she really didn't want Yimo to go those dangerous places, but Su Jingwen knew that it was impossible. Only powerful people could talk and survive in the cultivation realm. Yimo thought of the moment when Su Jingwen first invited him to dinner. At that time, he had never thought Su Jingwen would cry. But ever since she came with him, this wasn't the first time he saw her like this. It was that time that Su Jingwen said to him, I'm older than you. You can call me Sister Jingwen. Sister Jingwen. Yimo called out, feeling warm in his heart. Su Jingwen was dazed and immediately thought of the same memory. Yimo knew how she was feeling and patted her back, staring, and then stared coldly at Meng Sha, who tried to leave. You want to go? Meng Sha shivered and quickly saluted with his fists. Yi Qianbei, it was a misunderstanding. I was coming back to explain to you. You knew I would come out. Yimo's voice grew colder. Su Jingwen felt Yimo's killing intent and came out of his arms, silently walking behind him. She detested this Meng Sha from the bottom of her heart. Brother Yi, Yin Jingxin and them walked out of the room too. They knew they were saved now that Yimo was here. Yimo looked at Yin Jingxin's shoulder and asked, What's this? Meng Sha said before Yin Jingxin could. My Shizhong Merchant Association's people had a conflict with him. They accidentally hurt his shoulder. I came to apologize. I didn't expect Yi Qianbei is fortunate to be fine. This is great. Su Jingwen looked at Meng Sha in contempt and said, Yimo, kill him. Su Jingwen rarely had any killing intent and would never ask Yimo to kill someone. But Meng Sha insulted her. She knew if Yimo didn't come out, she would be in a situation worse than death at his hands. Meng Sha shivered and pulled out the crescent blade. He knew that it was impossible to escape from Yimo. Finally, Yu Zhongtong realized that this young man was the person he was trying to kick away, the cultivator who went into the 36th domain. His face began to spasm when he saw he couldn't see Yimo's power level at all. He began to regret now. He shouldn't have cooperated with Meng Sha. At this time, Meng Sha suddenly said, Palace Lord Yu, we're on the same side now. If I die, you won't be doing very well either. The best thing is to join forces. Chapter 1300. Kill Truth Realization State. Chapter 1300. Kill Truth Realization State. Yu Zhongtong thought. He was Truth Realization State Level 6 and Meng Sha was Truth Realization State Level 3. If they joined forces, Yimo might really have some concern. However, he immediately saw the scorn in Yimo's eyes and was shook. He felt Yimo heard the sound transmission between the two. So Yu Zhongtong didn't dare to move. This young cultivator definitely was a Truth Realization State peak stage, being to be able to hear Truth Realization State sound transmission. In fact, Yimo would be quite concerned if Meng Sha and Yu Zhongtong joined forces. He wasn't by himself. Even if he was, there would be quite some pressure to face a Truth Realization State primary stage and middle stage cultivator. While Yu Zhongtong was hesitating, Yimo hacked out with Zisu and Illusion Cloud Formation Kill Strike without hesitation. Meng Sha knew Yimo's power and took things seriously. Before Yimo even attacked, he used Crescent Blade to send over a dense clutter of red killing rays towards Yimo. With Meng Sha's full-powered attack, the force of the Crescent Blade seemed dominating. The red killing rays came in waves. Even Yu Zhongtong was shook. He was prepared that if Meng Sha could hold on, he would attack Yimo as well, but if Meng Sha couldn't stand off at all, he wouldn't move at all. Meng Sha also used a low-grade cultivation artifact shield on the side. He thought that even if Yimo was truth realization state peak stage, the killing ray of the crescent blade would make Yimo concerned or retreat a little. Then, during that time, he would risk getting injured to capture Su Jingwen. If he had no hostage, he would be killed by Yimo for sure. But soon, Meng Sha felt something was wrong. He released his shield, but it floated slow like a feather in the sky. The next moment, he felt his domain crumple, and when he could react, he was completely in Yimo's domain. He seemed to be swallowed by a swamp and couldn't move much. That heaven-covering purple ray swept over and Meng Sha was shook. If this continued, he would be instantly disintegrated. Meng Sha burned his essence blood like crazy, wanting to escape from Yimo's domain. He was certain he had never seen a domain this powerful. This wasn't great completion, this was beyond it. Thud thud thud. Yu Zhongtong just realized that Meng Sha's crescent blade and the red beams clashed on an octagonal cauldron that appeared above Yimo's head. It couldn't hurt Yimo at all. The first time Yimo fought Meng Sha, Yimo didn't even use the octagonal cauldron and completely defeated Meng Sha. Now that he was disaster transformation state tertiary stage and his domain was in great completion, he used the octagonal cauldron instead. This wasn't to say he grew weaker, but this fight was completely different. Last time, Meng Sha didn't take Yimo seriously at all and didn't use his full power. It was normal he was almost killed by Yimo. This time, Meng Sha treated Yimo as someone more powerful than him and that used his full power. Yimo still chose to use the octagonal cauldron against a full-powered truth realization state level 3. The difference between a disaster transformation state and truth realization state was huge. Only an absurd cultivator like Yimo could ignore the difference. Meng Sha barely broke free from Yimo's domain, but was swept away by countless purple sword rays. The shield was smacked away by the purple ray. Illusion cloud formation, kill strike had formed. No matter how powerful Meng Sha was, there was no going back. With a splurge, blood arrows shot into the air. Meng Sha watched his body get devoured by the killing rays, and when it ravaged his body, he suddenly realized and looked at Yimo with extreme shock. Your disaster. How could Yimo let him say disaster transformation state? Zisu spun and Meng Sha's essence spirit was killed. Yimo waved and a storage ring disappeared into his hands. This was the first time he killed a truth realization state cultivator head-on. Even if he wasn't a truth realization state cultivator, he was at the peak of Luo Yu cultivation world now. Yu Zhongtong looked dazedly at the bloody mist Meng Sha had become. Meng Sha had never been afraid of anyone in the heaven domains. He was on good terms with the Xing Cultivator Association leader, so even the Vice City Lord paid his respects to him. Yet this guy was killed in a few moves. This was too scary. This absurdly young cultivator killed Meng Sha so easily. Just who was he? Yimo looked at Yu Zhongtong calmly and said, Palace Lord Yu, the big hotel abuses the clients. I seem to see that your extreme-grade luxury room has no time limit. How come I just went out for a spin and you're kicking people away? Are you full of shit, or is the Observer Palace full of shit? Yu Zhongtong shivered and remembered that he also offended Yimo. With Yimo's display of power, he was done for if no one helped him. Yu Zhongtong couldn't control himself sweating. Why did he offend someone like this? If someone else dared to say he was bullshitting, he would have crushed that person to pulp, but he didn't even dare to argue back to Yimo. However, he knew he had to answer back to Yimo, so he saluted with his fists respectfully and said, Yi Qian Bei. Wan Bei was too rude to choose this time to reorganize the Observer Palace. But it was due to Qian Bei being too amazing before, you went into the 36th domain. This squeezed up the Observer Palace. It's my bad this time. Please forgive me. The Observer Palace is willing to compensate Yi Qian Bei's losses. Yimo was furious, but he didn't plan on killing Yu Zhongtong. Even if he killed Yu Zhongtong now, it wouldn't change the fact that the cultivation realm was survival of the fittest. Plus, Yu Zhongtong was a truth realization state middle stage master. This was very rare no matter where. He killed Meng Sha already, If he killed Yu Zhongtong, it might make the West Cultivator City unhappy. Just when Yimo was planning to make Yu Zhongtong compensate, Yuchan suddenly said, "Marshal Uncle Yi, the Observer Palace owed us more than 1 billion spirit stones, but they still haven't given them to us now. I suspect that they want to kick us out so they can keep the spirit stones and let the Shizhong Merchant Association annihilate us." Yu Zhongtong's face looked bad upon hearing this. He knew that he had successfully aroused the killing intent of Yimo. Yuchan explained, "Sister Jingwen bet 10 million spirit stones on you getting into the 36th domain when the odds were 1 to 100. Now, not only did they not pay us what we won, we didn't even get our original money back." "Is that so?" Yimo's killing intent surged again. Yu Zhongtong felt he was like a shaky boat in a blizzard under such intense killing intent. "Qianbei, please calm down. Wanbei didn't intend to take the spirit stones. Wanbei was planning to give them the spirit stones after they came out," Yu Zhongtong quickly said, seeing that Yimo was about to attack. He knew that if Yimo attacked, it would be fast like lightning and never-ending like rain. Yimo knew Yu Zhongtong was lying, so he sneered and released Zisu. "Yi Qianbei, please hold up. West Cultivator City's Luo Jinyu greets Yi Qianbei." Someone quickly dashed here. He wasn't tall and looked a little scholarly. Seeing this, Yimo didn't dare to be rude and also saluted with his fists. "City Lord Luo, I don't dare to be called Qianbei. Just call me Yimo." Yimo was very grateful to this Luo Yujian. He heard that this Luo Yujian saved Su Jingwen and them the first time. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.